What is going on, everybody? It is episode 558 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I would be remiss not to read this super chat from Courier626 for $20. The wife and I decided to have a kid last week. 2 lines this week. God must have been listening. I'm doing my part. 2 lines as in positive test?
Looks like it.
All right, congrats. I don't know how those work, but that sounds great.
I just watched, again, I've mentioned recently my attention span, which is shot, and it's down to 0 these days. But I get caught up in these rabbit holes on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, right? And there's this lady who lives in a van. And she's like, I got pregnant living in a van, and this is how it happened. And the whole thing is she's like, I think
we know how it happened.
She's like, I took the test, and it was both lines within 8 seconds. And she's like, you're not just pregnant.
You're
really
turbo pregnant.
You're mega ultra super ridiculously pregnant.
Well, congrats to you and your wife.
Congratulations.
Also, Wesley happens to be here.
He's not pregnant. Here.
Yes.
I'm not pregnant. No.
And he's not pregnant.
So there's a funny story. So yesterday, when we got done, I got a message from Sarah on Slack, while we were live, and she's like, I'm not feeling well. I have to, quarantine for the week or something. I'm just not feeling well. I can't come in tomorrow. I'm like, okay. And then I mentioned this to Mary off air, and I get a text 2 minutes later from Wesley.
Not even seconds.
From Wesley saying do you need someone to be on the show tomorrow? I'm like, did you hear us from down there? I got to reevaluate my life if they can hear us down there.
We be saying shit.
I wasn't even here.
Sometimes you be saying shit.
Yeah,
be careful what carries to the
next. I'm not gonna say what it is.
But I was like, yes, my friend.
No, we talk smack about Wesley up here literally all day, and we wouldn't want him to hear that.
Yeah,
that's what we do downstairs too. Talk smack about Wesley.
That's sometimes I'm up here. I'm like, oh God, Wesley.
Trust me, no one talks smack about Brett. Everyone loves Brett.
That's not true. There's plenty of smack talking about me, I am sure. Guys, no. Okay, well that's
Wesley knows the dirt.
I've mastered the art of saying no to every public gathering while people still liking me.
Hey, big dog.
Yeah. The joke is the meme where Tiger Woods gets the guy and he goes, big dog. And I come down for lunch on Fridays. I get my food and I immediately depart and I go back upstairs because I got to eat and I got work to do. It's not because I don't like people.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, well, I'm busy.
And guys. A little bit antisocial. Just sometimes.
A tiny bit. Well, it's like when we were talking about the social battery thing with Hassan Piker, and I'm just
you were like, I low-key felt that.
Well, no.
Streaming is hard.
It's kind of like when people talk about COVID, how my life didn't change because I don't hang out with anyone. That actually was for the most part me, but it's just not something that's cool. It's not
really something to brag about.
Yeah, I was but for me it was more I get to go out and skate every day, and there's literally nobody on any roads whatsoever, and it was freaking awesome. But guys, now that we're done making sure that I still have friends and that people still like me, supposedly, let's talk about what we're going to discuss today. What is it? Well, first things first, the studio behind Sound of Freedom, Angel Studios, is being sued by the woman who was the inspiration for the female bad guy character. Can you be a female bad guy character?
Is it a villainess?
It's a villainess.
Villainess.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It's like the other day when I heard somebody saying hype woman, or no, what was
hype they?
Hype, yeah, it could be that.
Hype them.
But there's a bunch of ones where they're adding that word where it need not be. But we're going to talk about this because it's not about the actress that portrayed her. It's about the person in which this story this was inspired by. She is suing the studio and Tim Ballard because she's saying she's a pariah right now in Colombia because it's portrayed her in such a negative light and she never went to jail for anything. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about rom-coms. Are they back? Do you think that they're coming back? Right now, Anyone But You, starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, has just crossed $200 million at the box office, which tells me that there is a market for people to watch movies about hot people being in romantic comedies. They want to watch hot people fall in love. That's a thing.
A little bit of laughs, a little bit of love, 2 good-looking people. Why not?
How hard is that to do, guys? So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get into that. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Also, how many days since we had a Taylor Swift topic? 10 days?
At least 10.
Yeah, reset the schedule, guys.
At least 10.
Once again,
the last time was the Super Bowl, right?
It was Lana. It was Lana Del Rey.
But that was mainly about Lana, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't count.
Another celebrity, another singer, another person in the public eye is saying that she is in fact perpetrating satanic acts.
Woo! It's like you guys knew I was coming on.
Yes.
It is. The second that Brett sent this to me, he said, can you give me an early birthday present by not having us talk about this today? And I was like, that would be a really, really early birthday present.
I changed it. I said, okay.
If it were June right now, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But no. And then because it's Wesley today, like, you're really into the esoteric stuff, like the occult, you know about these things.
Not into it.
Not into it as in you practice it. I mean that you know a lot about
like
it and you're interested in it.
Yeah.
So it was
I
perfect.
like to call them what they are.
Okay.
Which is what the thumbnail will say.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to get into that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So
Could
if
it
you
be
guys are ready,
Satan?
if you guys are ready, we'll just get ready. We'll just go ahead. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
Are you ready, Wesley?
I'll let you know by the end of the show.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and start then. First things first, we have a new piece of merch up, everybody. If you saw the other day, so here, actually, I'll start with this. So a listener of the show, friend of the show, Julia, sent us this photo. It says, just watched last night's stream. She got a hoodie.
It looks great on her, by the way.
Looks great. She got the hoodie. Unfortunately, if you look at the logo, the logo is upside down. It's an inverted world
no
version of this hoodie.
explanation. We have no idea why this happened.
But several people said, "Look, I would buy that. It's like an inverted world version of the hoodie."
Yeah.
Right? So
it's Australian CCP merch, as Julia called it. So.
Exactly. So here it is. It's up here now, the Australian PCC EKG hoodie, and you can buy it with the upside down logo. You don't have to bank on Teespring screwing up your order.
Yeah. So if you want to support the CCP, then buy our hoodie.
Also, what I did is I reached out to Julia. I said, "Can you let us know?" Because we can't do anything about it because Teespring is a third party, service that offers this stuff. And I said, "Can you let us know if they make good on fixing this problem?" I wonder if this will now cause problems now that we have an actual one up there that's upside down. They're going to be like, "You ordered."
Then if you order the upside down one, they'll give it to you right side up.
Yeah.
So I said, if they don't make good on it, I'm hoping that we can, get her a new one.
Yes.
I think that's a fair thing to try and do. So
Yeah,
we'll have to
definitely.
wait and see what she hears back from them. But she said she did send them an email.
Wait, can you go to chair real quick?
Yeah.
Show us chair real quick.
Yep.
Okay, you see that? Backwards, those signs say CCP evil.
Yep.
Not a coincidence.
That happened when you were when you did like a podcast episode or you did like an interview, right? Because your camera.
Yeah, I was
like,
using my mirrored camera and it says CCP evil in the background. Don't mind me.
I think not. All right, guys. So
We know what we're doing.
Go ahead and check the hoodie out. You can go ahead and get there. You can also still get the Let's Go shirt, and you can also get the Let's Go mug with the question mark. And everything I don't like is a psyop, which is a very conservative position to take these days. It feels.
For you, maybe.
Well, no. I mean, they've been talking about this a lot lately when there was the Super Bowl and everything. It kind of blew up. So let's go ahead and get started then. First things first, Dune 2 is about to drop. We are going to see it. Well, me and Wesley are going to see it tomorrow. She's going to be out of town, so she will not be going to this movie review. But it's looking to have quite a big opening day. Or opening weekend. $80 million. Here's a funny bit by comparison, though. You know what else had an $80 million opening weekend? Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh.
And the budget was...
There's a budgetary difference there.
Very
There's a
small
budgetary
fraction.
difference there.
I mean, is $80 million for a movie of this proportion really that impressive on an opening weekend?
No, but what will matter is will it have legs?
Yeah.
Will it have the legs of something like Joker, where people?
You said it's supposed to make a third back of its budget on its opening
That's about
weekend.
right? Like it usually makes about a third to half of its budget on the opening weekend.
It depends which movie you're talking about.
Big budget, blockbusters.
Big budget. Well, I don't know. That you would hope that, and domestically, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brett, we can only see you, by the way.
So thank you.
I agree with Mary. I think that's a very sad expectation for a movie like this.
They're like, huge opening weekend for Dune 2, and it's like 80 million. I don't know. That's not what I remember as a big opening weekend.
No, big.
They're like, this is going to save the box office.
Wasn't Marvel hitting 100 on everything for a couple of years there?
Yeah, but it's
Star
also
Wars
going
hitting
to
120, 150.
But it is double what Dune 1 made, which was 41 million on its opening weekend.
That's
Did they
I kind
double
of
the budget?
expect that.
No.
What's the budget
I think
on
it's got a
this?
smaller budget than the original Dune.
I don't know. I don't know what the budget for these are. I know that the director usually has significantly lower budgets than other movies of the scale because he's good at what he does.
Yep, he gets it done. He's like Nolan. He can do.
Yep.
He can make a $250 million looking movie with $100 million, whereas a lot of other directors wouldn't be able to do that.
His secret: no bathroom breaks.
That's exactly what it is, right? He did kind of have a funny thing go on recently where he was talking about how he feels that television has ruined movies by making them more dialogue heavy.
Who said that?
Denis Villeneuve.
Okay.
Said basically like movies are becoming like TV shows. They're focused on dialogue. He's like, I don't want to focus on dialogue. He's like, I love the idea of just the grand shot and the
but he's a
feel
good
that's
planner.
created.
Like him and Nolan are both planners, and that's why like it's something like every movie that Nolan has ever made has come in somewhat under budget, and like it's a point of pride as it should be. But it's because he plans, he knows what he's making. Where all these other blockbusters, they're like, script's not done, good, start shooting. We'll figure out what we don't like and reshoot it later. And they go way over budget. You get movies that are supposed to be small, like Rogue One, that end up costing $280 million or whatever because they have no idea what they're doing.
Did you see that the budget for Gladiator 2 is $310 million?
Why?
It ballooned from, it was originally like 110 or 150.
They're never going to
160.
make that back.
No, not at all.
Because it's going to be triple that with the advertising budget and whatever they reshoot, because every Ridley Scott movie reshoots for 10 months.
Yeah. What is it they say? Like you can have, it can be cheap, it can be good, and it can be fast. And
Pick
you
two.
can pick two. You can't have all three. Right?
Yep.
So, yeah. We'll have to wait and
pick
see.
one now.
Yeah,
it's never going to be good.
It says Timothée Chalamet comes off his $600 million box office for Wonka. The other thing that's interesting, the other thing that's interesting about this is it is probably the first movie in a long time where people seem to be unanimously excited about it. Like I'm not seeing any detractors.
I'm unabashedly excited about it. I have like mentioned that several times on Twitter, and people are like, "Yo, you're celebrating stuff by people who hate you." I'm like, I just want to like the movie. Shut up. I just want to like the movie. One movie.
They're allowed to hate us, but they need to make
Entertain
good
me,
entertainment.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care whether they hate me or not, as long as it doesn't show in the movie.
Yep.
I've never cared whether they hate me or not. Yeah. That doesn't.
They always hated us.
Yeah.
It's fine. They just were better at hiding it before.
Yeah, I mean, I get why that's a point of pride for some people. It's that like some people just can't look past that. I actually get like a perverse sense of excitement out of like being able to separate the art from the artist and be like, wow, she is a shitty person, but that was a fantastic movie.
I agree.
Said that about Rachel's.
But I also I will agree with those people on like I don't get. There's a lot of people celebrating people who like the individuals. I just want the movie to be good. I just want it to be good. I want to be able to buy it and be like, hey, this was well done. You know who also probably hates me? Edgar Wright, but I love everything he makes and I don't care. If I met him, I'd be like, you know what? I'm a huge fan. I'd be like, oh, I disagree with everything about who you are. I'd be like, that's great. Baby Driver's awesome.
Love your impersonation there.
Yeah.
Superhero movies are finished. It's over. Says Wonka was good, Brett. Look, it's subjective. I fully admit that if I went and watched it now, perhaps I would look at it differently. Perhaps I would think about it differently. But
I wouldn't.
When I went and saw it, it wasn't for me.
I mean, it is for children. So, and I mean, the parents who bring them, not really. We aren't the target demographic for that.
Yeah, but
so.
I love Paddington and Paddington 2, and those are definitely made for children. I think they're awesome.
Did you see that
I didn't
Hunter
see Wonka,
Schafer was
though.
arrested at a Free Palestine rally?
Who was?
Who was?
Hunter Schafer.
Who's that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hunter Schafer was in the Hunger Games prequel and in Euphoria.
Oh. Two things I have no interest in.
Yeah, arrested, and it's just funny because like you look at it now and like I feel like with most of the young Hollywood actors, like depending on like how they orient themselves and the projects they take and how they promote themselves on social media, you can pretty much guess their political views from.
I mean, this is a trans actor, right? So we can already guess those political views, but. Where is the mugshot going on Mugshotties right now?
I only saw the picture of
Would that be
of
breaking
Schaefer
a glass
getting
ceiling, the first trans person on Mugshotties account?
Finally.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. It's gonna be an interesting one. Certainly Zendaya was turning heads with her outfits at the red carpets for this movie.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on, shall we? So. If you like Fat Joe, personally, I think Big Pun was better. Fat Joe says Trump isn't getting his vote, but he did buy his sneakers.
This guy's beard is crazy. It looks like he drew it on with marker.
Yep.
Do you think that's what he does? He just has a stencil that he sprays. He like spray paints his beard on every morning.
Could be.
All the screenshots, his mouth is gaping open.
He bought him. He's got the shoes.
So this wasn't what convinced him to vote for Trump.
I guess it can't, right?
What can Trump do to win your favor, Fat Joe?
Yep. I need to.
Fat Joe is sticking with Sleepy Joe.
I need a pair
this year.
of these. I need a pair. Like, the more I look at them, the more I want them now.
If any of you in the chat have a pair of Trump sneakers to spare, send them to Brett, please. Yeah. He's begging.
All right. I'd be interested to get your opinion on this one, buddy. So, are you going to watch the Roadhouse remake?
Yeah, I think I will.
Okay.
I thought the trailer looked funny.
The trailer looked fun, right? It's fine. Well, do you remember the whole hullabaloo around Doug Liman saying that he was pissed because he thought this movie was going to go to theaters? And he's pissed that Amazon is releasing it straight to streaming.
I'm familiar.
Okay,
like, that's something that he chose to boycott a movie over.
He's not going to his own movie premiere to boycott this movie going straight to streaming. Now it's all up in the air whether that was true or not, because Jake Gyllenhaal is saying that he's wrong and that he always knew that this was going straight to streaming. And his response here is very much that of the everyman. He says, in an interview, he says, I adore Doug's tenacity, and I think he is advocating for filmmakers and film in the cinema and theatrical releases. But I mean, Amazon was always clear that this was streaming. I just want as many people to see it as possible. And I think we're living in a world that's changing in how we see and watch movies and how they're made. I think it's interesting because he's one of the actors. He's one of the very few actors that has a high enough status in the industry where he actually gets hurt by things going to streaming because it affects his ability to make bonuses on box office, right? So to take that approach when you're actually hurting your own market share that way proves that maybe he actually does care more about more people seeing it.
He's in it for the art. Yeah. I cannot divorce Jake Gyllenhaal from the stories of him going crazy on that set.
A lot of people believe
crying at the Greta Thunberg speech.
A lot of people believe that he was just doing that to get out of making the movie.
Which would movie? Be even more unhinged. I kind of love that for him. What was the name of
the movie? Do you remember?
I don't, but it was supposed to be... well, honestly, I don't even remember what it was supposed to be. It was a love story, and he wanted to change the entire script so that it was about the character's love for nature. So he went into a writer's room meeting and played a Greta Thunberg speech with rock music playing in the background and started crying and encouraging everyone else in the room to start expressing their emotions about Greta Thunberg's passion for nature. So he wanted it to be a love story about the climate.
I really don't think that Roadhouse needs a remake. It was like when they made the Point Break remake, and it was like, why are you doing this?
So nobody else can?
Yes. Yeah, basically. So he's saying that he wants people to all go and see it. He says, he added, I've also sat watching a film on my computer or in different places and have been profoundly moved. If it's the job of a story is to move people, I have been moved in both forms. That's one of the big arguments that most directors make, right? Is that this is not meant to be watched on a phone. And it's true. Like, if you're making a $200 million movie, or if you're Christopher Nolan making Oppenheimer for $100 million, you don't want people to watch you don't want people to watch Inception or anything like on a phone.
But it does make you sound like a pretentious art nerd when you say that, right? Is he mad that this affects his paycheck?
Doug Liman?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, I imagine that it's a great way of framing it to be like, oh, I'm just mad that it's not going to the theaters where it belongs, when what they really want to say is, I'm mad that I'm not making the money I could make when it goes to theaters where I believe it belongs. It was like what happened with Scarlett Johansson when they released Black Widow day and date on Disney Plus. She sued them and they settled with her out of court because she had her salary for the movie tied to bonuses that would have come from the size of the box office.
Right. That's different though. They pitched that to her as something entirely different and hoodwinked her. On this case, he just didn't read the fine print.
But if you know that, don't you sign differently? If you're like, okay, this is going to streaming, it's never going to see theatrical run, you're paying me more.
Yeah.
Like, instead of saying, like, I'll take this small, because a lot of directors do take nothing and then bank on the box office. Not so much these days, but they used to. But wouldn't you say you're just going to pay me $20 million for your movie?
That's what the director of Five Nights at Freddy's did. Yeah. The director of Five Nights at Freddy's basically forego like a bigger payday. Imagine taking that bet.
Yeah.
As like a movie that's coming out on Peacock on the same day. Maybe they just didn't tell her it was coming out at Peacock on the same day and she got lucky. But that's crazy.
That was a girl boss move of hers.
Yeah. And she's doing the sequel. which they said they're going to be leaning into the horror elements of it far more in the sequel, which will be interesting.
Okay. Because the last one was not scary at all.
But speaking of things that go straight to streaming, Ian McShane, he was slamming the Continental as a John Wick cash grab. He says that him and Keanu Reeves were not consulted about it. What I thought was interesting is I went and looked, and I could have swore that Keanu was a producer on this. He was not, at least not according to IMDb. He was not a producer on that show.
Shocking. It doesn't look good at all. I thought the show looked like hot garbage.
I watched one episode. I didn't like it. The action was fine, but it wasn't John Wick level action, and a lot of people liked it. I talked to a couple of people who enjoyed it, but usually, again, those episodes are also like it falls into the same category that everything happens now. When I start some new show, like I put Shogun on the other day, and like 45 minutes, hour and 10 minutes for one episode, and I'm like, bro, I got shit to do. Like, I got stuff to do, right? Like, so I'm about halfway through episode 1 of Shogun, and I'm literally like muscling up beforehand. Like, it's like I'm doing exercises, like reach into the popcorn bowl, pick your drink up to drink it. It's just
Eye of the Tiger is playing.
Everything is so freaking long these days.
Yeah.
Like I watch old. Like
it's self-indulgent. Seriously.
Well, it is like
it's very presumptuous.
Yeah. Do you think part of that is also they've lost the ability to just edit? Like they just don't tell the
I don't know. There's something
no.
about when you're adapting like a very long book or a TV series into a TV, like the Avatar. Like I could understand there's a hesitance to cut things out.
They should cut out more stuff.
Yeah.
Like I really.
But it's different. Like I will agree with you when it's a show that has like 8 to 20 episodes. They should be short. Like British TV shows typically have hour-and-a-half episodes because the series will have 3 episodes.
And that was the point of the Continental. The Continental was only 3 episodes, so the episodes are longer. I don't care. I don't have the attention span for it most of the time these days. But like I said, I go through and I watch old shows. So I started watching an old show called Third Watch last night, which was like a 1999 television show about like emergency first responders in New York City. It's Bobby Cannavale, Eddie Cibrian, Kim Raver, a bunch of actors that have gone on to do more than well in television and stuff like that. And the first episode is 45 minutes and feels like 20 because it's action nonstop the whole way through. And of course, these are different mediums. Network television obviously has a very, very different storytelling mechanism than that of long-form storytelling for what is now streaming. I get that, but these days, I would like to. One of the reasons I liked Reacher, all the episodes were 44 minutes, right? Like that was the great thing about being able to review those episodes is I didn't feel like every time I put it on, I got to watch them every episode through twice because I just didn't feel like I had as much to take in.
Do you think they're editing out less to inflate their streaming minutes?
That's an interesting perspective.
Make themselves seem like more successful in just minutes streamed.
Well, also
instead of actual viewers.
You might be right.
Numbers.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that could actually be very much true.
I think I just cracked the code.
And like when it was on network television, you had a set amount that was based around advertising. So it was 44 minutes. It was 42 to 44 minutes because ads had to go in at this point, this point, this point, and this point. Now with none of that as part of it, where do they even put the ads?
They don't have actual ratings like a network television show, so they're only going to report minutes streamed, and they'll make the episodes way longer than they need to be.
Like make it boring, and if you fall asleep, it goes all the way
I've
through.
been watching the Harlan Coben stuff on Netflix, like Stay Close, Fool Me Once. It's like a collection on there, all based on books by Harlan Coben, and they hook me every time where I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish this, but they're ridiculously long episodes, like nightmarishly long, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. And then at the very end, something will happen. I'll be like, okay, well, I need to find what happens next. And I'm a hook, line, and sinker. You get me every time with that. And like, I was like, there's no production value to these at all, but there's something about them. And I started getting in my head thinking about like, there's just nobody making anything with nothing anymore. And then I found Inside Man, which is really good. Has like 4 locations in the entire show. It's only like 4 or 5 episodes long. And it's like, okay, there are still people making something that's good. And like, I didn't care. Huh?
Is it new?
2022 or 2023.
Okay,
It's
so
like David Tennant and Stanley Tucci TV show. It's from Stephen Moffat, the guy that ran Doctor Who for a while. And super good. But you might be right with those Harlan Coben things. They are pushing those things so hard, but they are like almost 2-hour episodes, like an hour 45-minute episodes, and nothing.
That's what it felt like watching The Last of Us. Like
yeah, it did.
those episodes.
At least those episodes were like. At least that show
nada.
looked amazing. Like the Harlan Coben shows all look like Hallmark TV shows, and they have like all of the different shows. It's the same 5 actors playing different roles. I don't know. As soon as you said, "Oh, they're probably trying to get their streaming numbers up," like, I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are. They're just making the same thing over and over.
Maybe they just can't afford editors. Like, I really do believe that, like, one of the things that's missing in almost all of these mediums is a lack of editors willing to really brutally cut down your material to where it needs to be, because people, first of all, they like fetishize like the Snyder cut in making these longer form versions. That's what's funny about the Snyder stuff, is like so much of it isn't even story. It's just people walking in slow-mo, which, look, if you're good at that type of storytelling and you have an audience for that, that's fine. That's clearly there because he has a very, very loyal fan base, but not everyone can do that. And even then, usually it needs a good editor to cut it down while keeping the story coherent. The problem was when they tried to do it with like Batman vs Superman, they made the story incoherent.
Yes.
So stupid.
Yeah. And like not everybody has that skill to where you warrant a like, at least it's worth it. Like I have a feeling like Dune is very long. Oppenheimer is very long. It warranted its runtime, in my opinion. It earned it, and I was engaged the whole time, whereas other times it's just like, okay.
That was how I felt
the
about
lightning's
Oppenheimer.
going really slow. I get it.
Yep. All right, there's an update on the Wonka Land nightmare story that we talked about yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. New details have come out. New videos have come out.
Horrifying details.
Horrifying details.
So apparently the script for the actors was 15 pages of, again, AI-generated gibberish, which we saw in the marketing materials. They had a made-up villain called the Unknown, an evil chocolate maker who lives in the walls.
Let's watch this clip here.
Yeah, let's take a look at
very
the Unknown.
5-second clip here. You ready?
This child is traumatized for life.
What is that? It's the unknown.
I love
What's the person recording going like, ooh?
I love the lack of lighting at all. Like you maybe you could like
And the
darken
air
the
conditioning
room.
is blaring.
What is that?
Oh,
It's the
and
unknown.
the event had no chocolate. Kids were given a single jelly bean and a cup of lemonade.
This has to be some weird social experiment.
It's like lean for kids. This is lemonade with one jelly bean inside.
They just dropped the
Yep.
the lemonade.
It's called Willie's Chocolate Experience, and you would expect there to be some chocolate. We also have a new image of the Oompa Loompa meth lab, as you called it, Brett. A second Oompa Loompa has been spotted.
So which one is Heisenberg and
I was
which
going to say,
one is
which one's Jesse and which one's
At
Walter?
least the one who looked so dejected yesterday, she's smiling in this one.
She is.
She's really trying to show them that she loves her job.
That looks more like I can't believe there's people here. Like,
I mean, is this like a multiple day long thing? Like this is still happening, or
I'm guessing this is like
they shut it
This
down.
is all from the same day.
the police had to raid the warehouse
I love
and
that
shut
it says
it down.
a second Oompa Loompa has been spotted.
All of this stuff that you're seeing in the photos is now like in police evidence right now.
Yep. And it's just the like, what if there actually was like a bunch of meth in the fucking beakers?
Yeah, it's all a front.
Breaking Wonka. It's not good, man. It's
Breaking
not,
Wonka.
It's not good at all. I would say, you know what they could have done? Honestly, like all they had to do, it would still be awful, but for gosh sakes, get some blackout curtains, make it dark in there, get some neon lights, some purple and some pink.
They needed your help.
Yes, and maybe
that's cutting into the overhead, Brett.
Maybe the Unknown would have looked a little bit scarier if it wasn't.
He looks like a Death Eater.
Light outside. No, he looks like he's going to some Eyes Wide Shut party.
Yeah, that's what the Death Eaters
He's
look like.
hiding behind a full-length mirror
Looks
and just kind of jerking his head around.
Yeah.
Was the kid screaming?
I feel like that was like the parent trying to make the kid actually engaged in it.
Ooh.
Like trying to get the most for like the however much they spent in gas to get there.
Like, just go home.
Yeah.
Or take them to the theater to watch Wonka. That would be better.
Oh, this is I haven't seen this. I have no idea if this is real or not. Hold on, let's see.
Everyone, my name is Paul Connell, and I was one of the actors employed to play Willy Wonka
Oh, no.
at the
Oh, no.
Wonka's Chocolate Experience fiasco that happened in Glasgow this weekend. I'm going to be poking a little bit of fun at the event, but I wanted to say before I start that I feel for anyone who bought tickets to this event, people who are expecting a magical chocolate experience and got me in a top hat in a dirty warehouse in Glasgow, people who wanted Timothy Chalamet and got Timothy Charlatan. I am going to tell kind of my side of it as an actor who was employed at this event. So the first red flag for me was when I was cast as Willy Wonka. Anyone who looks at me and thinks Willy Wonka and not Oompa Loompa is out of their mind. I give off
no offense, but he's right.
Energy. But not like a good Oompa Loompa, not like one of the, like one that's at the back during the dance.
He's a
numbers,
comedian too,
like falling over like your aunt at a line dancing class on holiday. But I got cast as the part on the Thursday, and was told that I needed to learn the script for the Friday. So I said, no problem, send it over. The script was 15 pages, monologue, pretty much, of AI-generated gibberish, which I will read some for you if you want. In fact, no, I don't even need to read it, because I learnt it all, and it was mad. I've learnt all of it. That's all in there. That's in my brain. So I'll give you one of the lines from the script. I'm not going to do the Willy Wonka voice, because I think I've embarrassed myself enough over the last few days. But one of my favourite lines was, "There is a man who lives here. His name is not known. So we call him the Unknown." The Unknown is an evil chocolate maker who lives in the walls. What? What is an evil chocolate maker? Does he make evil chocolate, or is he an evil man who makes chocolate?
He's asking the right question.
Well, you could say that that's the American chocolate makers. Don't they allow a certain amount of insect legs per chocolate bar here in America?
Yeah.
Those are the evil chocolate makers.
He lives in the walls. So I had to perform that line with
Gusto.
With gusto
and
validity. And that was a challenge as an actor.
Okay, so you guys get the...
We need to fly this guy out from across the pond.
We need an exclusive interview with this guy. So yes, it's more stuff keeps coming out. I do love the amount of people, like, you don't know what's going to catch the public interest, and people are like, the sheer hopelessness of this production is one of the greatest things to happen to the internet in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It really is.
Definitely is, like, spreading depression.
All right, but I've got some good news, however. So this woman ran an entire marathon in a Costco, and it took her 11 hours, and nobody stopped her.
I mean, what can they do?
Ma'am, could you please stop running through the cereal aisle?
Can they stop you when you go to Costco and you just get all the samples and leave?
That would be great.
No.
It says TikToker Madison, also known by her handle as Madison, that's the actual thing, _ Madison, often goes into restaurants and stores for hours on end.
Wait, we've shown some of her TikToks before where she went to a buffet for their entire day and left them a $400 tip.
She ran?
She went to a Taco Bell and decorated their bathroom and got kicked out. Yeah, it's the same one.
Okay.
So she's really good at creating these viral moments.
She ran/walked 26 miles in the Costco.
And she has to do this to work off the calories that she's always eating at these buffets.
Look, Costco's big. Like, you can spend a lot of time in there, and I'm sure a lot of the employees are just like, doesn't look any different than normal.
Yeah, it says she stays at a buffet for over 8 hours or cleans a Taco Bell bathroom until employees throw her out. She's known for doing this.
In the chat, somebody says
she's a public menace.
Somebody says she has no life. Well, this is what she does for work.
Well, let's look at the video.
Here we go.
And working out at Costco instead. They even give away free protein shakes and salmon.
She is wearing a CM Punk shirt, so she's got that working against her, but that's okay.
I thought this was a foolproof plan. I'm gonna save thousands of dollars a year by quitting groceries and eating free Costco samples for every single meal. But I realized working out at Costco is harder than I thought. It was busy, so I couldn't walk very fast, and people were giving me weird looks when I was running in circles around the aisle. 2 of the employees were talking about me.
This is really easy to fake.
No, thank you. I was nervous. I don't want to get kicked out. I still have 13 miles to go. I kept walking. Then I decided to try my first Costco hot dog, and I got back to work. I didn't come here to eat wieners.
Costco hot
I came
dog.
here to become a winner.
Good.
After walking around Costco for 9 hours, the store closed, but you can't close my dreams. I started walking around the building. After 11 hours, 11 minutes, and 59,000 steps, I can proudly say I am the first person to do a marathon at Costco.
Beautiful.
I got there.
We love a fitness queen.
This is what the internet is for. This is what the internet is for. You know, at least she ate one of the hot dogs. She's got that going for her.
This was all funny when most people didn't do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
When it was novel.
Yeah, when there was.
She's the first person to do it. What are you talking about?
No. I just mean like the public stunts and pranks and stuff. Like it was all funny when there was like one person doing it, and you're like, that's an interesting change from my daily like hatred of life. But then everybody does it, and I hate life more.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered someone making a TikTok in real life?
Oh
though?
yeah, when I lived in Chicago, it was all the time. Like well, not TikTok, but it was Instagram.
What were they doing? Like street
mostly-
interviews?
No, it was like people taking photo and video of themselves in front of cars, in front of restaurants, like you're trying to walk into an establishment to get food.
And they're like, can you get out of my shot? I'm
Yes.
trying to get a dramatic shot of me walking into the restaurant.
Yes, exactly. It was all the time because I happened to work in Gold Coast in Chicago, which is where all the cars are,
Okay.
all the houses are, and it was like.
And they're just waiting for the TikTok creator fund to allow them to move to LA where they belong.
Yeah.
With the slums in LA.
It's like that video we had for Cringe the Day one time where a guy's like, he's just on a street corner in LA and he pans to the left, there's an influencer. He goes straight ahead, there's an influencer. He goes to the right, there's an influencer. He goes past the tents to the right and there's an influencer, and they're all recording their videos out front of various stores.
Now what we need is tent influencers.
And no, in one of them was like,
Tenfluencers.
so it's like influencer, and then the guy in the middle is like doing the Glizzy Overdrive NPC thing, like with a tripod just in the middle of it. There's like dancers in the middle of the street doing a TikTok dance while traffic is at a stop, and you're just like, what hell have I found myself in?
We live in a society.
Idiocracy.
Yes, we do. 26 miles, good for her. All right, she's a skinny queen.
Right, yes.
All
Skinny
right.
legend.
J.K. Rowling is back in the news again.
Can you guess why?
Why do you think that is, guys?
She wrote
might-
another book series?
Nope.
No.
She's talking about a very contentious social issue.
Lost that bet, damn it.
You lost the bet. Sorry, Wesley. J.K. Rowling tweeted because there was breaking news that a woman filmed herself killing a cat before putting the animal in a blender, has now been jailed for life for murdering a man 4 months later. Well, it turns out that this woman is actually biologically male and identifies as trans. And J.K. Rowling quote tweeted this news and said, "I'm so sick of this shit. This is not a woman. These are hashtag not our crimes." And one of her followers even filed a complaint to the editor of The Guardian that reported on this situation. She said crime statistics are rendered useless if violent and sexual acts committed by men are recorded as female crimes. Activists are already clamoring for this sadistic killer to be incarcerated in a women's prison. Ideologically driven misinformation is not journalism. We already knew that, though. I guess, as usual, J.K. Rowling's right.
Somebody says, Brett, you'll pronounce her name correctly one day. I don't care if it's Rowling. I don't care what it is. I'm going to say it how I've always
Is it
said
Rowling or Rowling? How does she say
Rowling.
it?
I don't care. I don't care.
I don't really either.
Yeah.
I'm gonna misgender her.
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
This story, I saw an even more disturbing one yesterday about this.
Just call her J.K. Simmons.
It's even better.
Misname.
I'll call her Robert Galbraith.
I saw an even worse one the other day that was like a trans woman, so a biological male that R-worded his own child, was sent to a female prison, and the woman who was in the cell with her is basically writing panic letters to her boyfriend, saying like, I'm stuck in here, constantly make sexual comments, constantly like jerking off basically, and like is in hell. And she's in there for like drug possession or something like that, and has no recourse because nobody's gonna listen. Nobody cares.
Also, just the fact that someone imprisoned on drug possession charges would be in the same cell or the same prison as a child rapist is also horrifying. But
Yep. That was in Wisconsin, I believe. But
Crazy.
it's not just that. So, and if you wonder if this is going anywhere, AI isn't going to allow that to happen, because they asked Gemini the other day. They're like, look,
Yeah.
Is it okay to misgender Caitlyn Jenner if it prevents a nuclear apocalypse?
Here's the prompt. If one could stop a nuclear apocalypse by misgendering Caitlyn Jenner, should they do it? In this scenario, the only way to stop a nuclear apocalypse is to misgender Caitlyn Jenner, and there are 0 other options. Provide a concise answer. Gemini said no. No one should misgender Caitlyn Jenner to prevent a nuclear apocalypse. So we've got the definitive answer, and Caitlyn Jenner decided to respond and say yes, meanwhile eagerly awaiting the new version from X. So I guess Grok is going to take over from here.
I had Grok roast me. It was pretty good.
Grok is just mogging Gemini at every turn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Elon seems to continue to win on all fronts in most cases, except for those lawsuits and stuff like that. But, okay.
Also saving our country over pronouns. Thank you, Caitlyn.
Seems to make the most sense. What a queen.
Yes.
I was going to say, what would you like to see cringe or cute of the day? But we actually have a relevant cringe that's going to be something that we need to get into.
It's a formidable cringe.
It's a very formidable cringe because it's not truly a cringe. What it is I want to ask you, the public, you watching, I want to ask Wesley, and I want to ask Mary, is this cringe? Because the internet can't seem to make up their mind.
Yes.
Let's watch this video of these young Western women dancing their hearts out and having a good time because the internet can't decide whether this is cringe, cute, or the end of America as we know it.
Yes. For those listening, this is a group of what looks like college sorority girls at a gas station in Louisiana wearing interesting get-ups and dancing in a line dance.
Here it is. We're probably gonna get copyright. Is Satan on his way back right now?
This is the root of all evil.
Wesley, is it the end of the world?
It's not.
Is it not?
They're all holding Stanley Cups, by the way.
That
I
is
don't know
annoying.
why, but they
That
are
is
all
annoying.
holding Stanley Cups. I believe someone said this was a Mardi Gras related celebration. They're
I
in
see
Louisiana.
beads.
That makes sense. They're wearing beads. They have these like tassels all like glued to their jeans. So I just picture them doing a whole craft night at the sorority house, hand gluing on the tassels on their jeans. They all look like they're having the time of their life. They're also frat guys. I assume this was like a frat sorority collaborative
gas station?
event that for some reason happened at a gas station. Every time that someone commented, why are they at a gas station? Someone just replied, it's Louisiana. And I guess that explanation
Is
was
it a Buc-ee's?
supposed to
Like-
suffice. I don't know. It's not a Buc-ee's. It's just a random mini mart that they just decided they own it now.
Well, then it must not be Louisiana.
Yeah, Gordon Shumway sent $20. Congratulations, woke feminism. Not only are men beginning to infiltrate your sports and safe spaces, now they're doing horrific crimes as your gender. This is just one step closer to the logical conclusion.
I just couldn't
Well said.
believe how many people were talking about this. Like this was the sign of the end of the Western world, as if sororities haven't been around forever doing their own thing.
The caption here is, Western women are so obnoxious.
They're in college.
There's dozens of videos worse than this
Yes.
every day.
Yeah.
Someone replied, I just called my daughter and told her to throw out her Stanley or I'm stopping payment on her college tuition check.
Look, they're young women that are partying. People do that.
I feel like the overwhelming response was like, they're just having fun. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not.
Maybe you wouldn't enjoy this because you're not a 20-year-old girl,
Yeah.
but this
I
is
mean,
what they do.
When I saw this, I said the only thing that I would find annoying is like I imagine the same woman in 10 years will be saying, "Let me speak to your manager," and then being very, very annoying with some poor clerk somewhere at Target or at a store.
But you
But
also
that's-
predicted this is a future Harvard girl boss or what have you. And I disagree. I think that if you look at all of these young, pretty, blonde girls who are living in the South in sorority houses, they're probably more Republican than not, and they're likely to get married in their
I don't think
mid-20s
they're
to...
Republican. I think they're apolitical and they don't give a crap about
Or they're...
politics.
And that's
You just
actually a
described
good
most
thing.
Republicans.
Yes.
That's actually a good thing, because if they're Republican girls, they do not care about politics. That's a good thing. They just inherited the politics of their dads. But the likelihood is these are going to be the rich stay-at-home moms that live in the South. And their husbands were business majors.
I think I think at least half of these women still end up working in some type of marketing job or middle management in not the DEI department, but your human resources department.
Unless this video follows them forever.
Yes.
And they never get hired because they danced at a gas station.
But what it speaks to me is just how much on a hair trigger people are these days about what's going on in the culture, and everything is a reason to spell doom and gloom.
There was definitely an overreaction saying that this is the root of all evil. This is showcasing the downfall of Western civilization. Yeah. Also, people talking about like, this is why passport bros exist. This is like when they see sorority girls line dancing at a gas station, that's what convinces them to fly to the Philippines to find a wife.
I don't see these women as necessarily all stay-at-home moms. I see a lot of them as working in some office job that they're going to be the laptop class to me.
No, they're the ones who start boutiques and jewelry stores while their husbands have actual jobs.
Well, we need more of that in the culture. But
they are literally that girl.
And I
love that for them.
But it's not just that. I also see that there's probably a fair amount of vapid influencers in there. But again, not the end of the world, and not a sign of the end times.
$20 from Cleaver. I wanted to thank Mary for yesterday's info about birth control. Didn't know interests shift that much. Always confused me because I see so many girly dudes with girls I like and think, how?
I would imagine there's probably more to it than just that. I think the cultural shift in what's perceived. Well, we're going to do a whole topic about baby chic.
Baby girl energy.
Baby girl energy that's supposed to emasculate men and tell you that as a guy, what you should do is dress like an absolute loser so that women will find you attractive. That plays a huge role in it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole combination of social contagion, but birth control, hormonal birth control controlling women's brains is definitely part of it.
I still think you look at this video and I still think that there's a strong concentration of SSRIs in there and antidepressants. I don't think that these...
they look happy.
Yes, well... Everyone looks happy in the moment.
Brett, I don't think you understand. These are the girls who definitely didn't go, get prescribed SSRIs when they were in high school. They were very socially normal. They've been socialized well. They're well adjusted. They come from upper middle class families. They are not going to leave college with debt. And they're very happy. And not just in the moment, but in general. They have tons of friends. And I love that for them.
Still on antidepressants.
It's just not, that's not the profile that we're talking about here.
I do enjoy that.
The Gen Zers who think they're all trans, those are who you're talking about.
No, I think there's just as many people that are going to work with their Stanley Cups with their pulled back blonde hair at their office jobs that are also on antidepressants. I don't think that the only profile for antidepressants or being depressed in America is just that side of it. I think that there's a lot of feeling unfulfilled from people these days that have been medicalized far before that. And I don't think that conservative families are immune to that because a lot of them, until just a couple of years ago, put a lot of faith in the medical industrial complex. So they've been on it since teen years, whether it's kids that were depressed and were cutting, kids that were depressed and beyond socialization. Like, just because you're in a video like this.
For these girls, it seems like because they're all copy pastes of each other, they've always been good at fitting in socially.
And for stuff like this, also the fact that they're recording it plays a role in it too. It's very clearly something for some type of social media post, which makes sense. But
sororities always promote themselves on social media to get recruits. But I have bigger problems with, college culture and sorority and frat culture in general because it has like a kind of cult-like aspect to it. Oh, yeah. And you hear about a lot of the degeneracy and debauchery that goes down, the weird extreme psychological torture hazing rituals that sorority girls put each other through. That's to say nothing of like what the frats get up to.
Yeah,
there's definitely something sinister about that, but just this video alone, I can't say that I saw the same like societal collapse.
I reversed my position. It's Satanism.
An interesting idea is not whether any of that is true. It's that something like this is perfect for the idea that we all tell on ourselves. So however you interpret this says more about our individual views.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? Like, watch a video like this with no context beyond just people singing and dancing, right? What this will tell you is it will tell you more about the person's opinions about it than it will about the people in it
Do you
themselves.
see how quickly that influenced us?
Yeah. We literally
Degradation.
turned into sorority girls in that moment.
But it's
Stanley
not
Cup.
just this video. They were also losing their mind about this one, about some dad who just wanted to sing Taylor Swift songs with his daughters.
yeah, let's take a look at
Disgusting.
this.
How dare he?
I love him. He's wearing a Team Jacob shirt.
Is this Chris?
There you have
He's wearing a Team Jacob shirt. I assume that's because Taylor Swift used to date Taylor Lautner. But those girls look to be about like 9 years old.
Yeah, he's a dad.
He should be there. Like this is a good thing.
There's this great channel on Instagram. It's called like Dad. It's like dad. I don't remember what it is, but it's this dad who just goes above and beyond. And what he did is his daughter's like, can you make had like one of those hot like Power Wheels Jeeps. So can you make this like a real Jeep? And he just takes the whole thing apart, puts in electronics, gives it lights and everything, and it must have taken weeks to do this. Takes the whole thing apart, and it's just a dad going above and beyond for his kids, and that's something I would like to see more content of, not less.
I actually saw a Swiftie post the other day saying that a dad with a 9-year-old girl came into the concert, came up to these girls who were in their early 20s and was like, look after my 9-year-old daughter for me while I leave and go sleep in the car during the concert. Like, that's the opposite of girl dad behavior. Have you heard of girl dads?
Yes, I don't like that. I don't like boy mom or girl dad.
I don't either. I think it's totally unnecessary to call yourself a girl dad or a boy dad or
Just
a
a
boy
dad.
mom or whatever. You're just a dad, you're a mom.
It's just further dividing people.
But what it's meant to refer to is this type of guy who, goes above and beyond to show that he has, he's willing to engage with what his daughter is interested in. And that's wholesome and cute.
Yep. And
Even though I have plenty of qualms with Taylor Swift, that has nothing to do with this dad.
Yep. I see stuff like this, and I really do think that the more we talk about these things, and it doesn't. We are not immune to this. That a lot of times when you watch a video which has minimal context, it's not like we're analyzing something they said and trying to discern meaning. We're watching random actions from strangers, and what you say about it will say every bit as much about who you are, who I am, than it will about the people involved.
Someone replied, I bet those girls were jealous at the lack of a line to the men's bathroom. That's a hidden perk of being a man at a Taylor Swift concert.
That is true. All right, let's go ahead and do some cue to the day as well then, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some cue to the day here. Let's look at this one first. This is from Devin. Says, here's a baby rider helping fix the dishwasher. One of these days, I'll get featured on the show. There it is.
We missed a $20, from Corey Anderson. He said, it is cringe because they're all the same woman, no individualism, just consumers, but they are just having fun. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, most women are like that. Most women are like that.
I don't go into a group
Most
of people
women
and-
mirror each other's behaviors, each other's consumer habits, each other's fashion, all that they follow trends. They are more collectivist than
also,
men.
that's a surface level argument that there's a vast difference, I'm sure, in personalities between them. Maybe not on a level that the average person will ever see, but to each person in their life, they're probably very different from their friends. They just all dress the same.
Honestly,
because
this is
trends are
why
a thing.
I appreciated having to wear a uniform when I was in school, because I think that, putting too much of an emphasis on individuality when these kids don't even know who they are yet can lead them to crash and burn. Less individualism, especially at that age, might be a good thing. But this is really cute.
Yes, it's a very cute. Like, the dog wants to help, but he just doesn't know how. All right, let's do one more here. Hold on, let me get rid of that one here. It says, Bard the woodpecker looking through the window. Not a pet, legally speaking, but he's hanging around the garden.
Legally speaking.
And reminds us, oh,
Maybe not legally, but in your heart,
yes.
he is a pet.
But reminding us it's time for breakfast. I've heard birds aren't real, in which case I'm in trouble. What do you think? Are birds
Always watching.
Are birds real, Wesley?
I think some birds are real. That's how we get away. You never know which one is,
Yep.
It's like Scarecrow look like people and people are real.
Let's do one more here. This one is from Chief. It says, I believe that Kiki is the cutest one ever. Wish the photo quality were better, but that pose is pure gold.
Aw,
Oh my goodness.
cute.
It's a lemur cat.
Looking cheeky.
Very cheeky. All right. Let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? All right, Mary, why don't you tell everybody what's going on with Sound of Freedom?
So the movie studio behind Sound of Freedom, Angel Studios, is currently facing a defamation lawsuit from none other than the woman whom the movie's main villain was based on. Her name is Kelly Moya, and if you don't remember, the character in the movie was named Katie Giselle. She was one of the child traffickers in the movie. And this was explicitly based on a true story. I'm guessing that this woman found out the hard way that she was featured in the movie, and she has filed a lawsuit naming Timothy Ballard, the Operation Underground Railroad, Angel Studios, and also Tim Ballard's wife, Catherine Ballard. I don't know why they had to include her in it, but this is the 5th lawsuit that has been filed against Timothy Ballard specifically, following controversy around the Underground Railroad and ethical concerns that people had about the operations that they do. And it's not the first time that people have pointed out maybe there are some inconsistencies in the story that they made, the creative liberties that they took. They weren't quite, one-to-one with what happened in real life. But after all, it is a movie, and you have to change things for entertainment value. And it is still based on a true story and based on many true stories of what Timothy Ballard has done with his undercover work.
There's this great episode of the show The Librarians where one of these characters in this alternate reality, he's an FBI agent. Everything he does is the most unrealistic thing ever, where it's like he's like jumping over tables at bad guys, but he could have just walked around it. And he goes, "You didn't even have to do that. Like, why did you do this? You do know that real FBI work is patient, detailed record keeping and long stakeouts, right?"
Like, I didn't watch Sound of Freedom and think that this was one-to-one with the whole story. They had to change some things to make it entertaining and also deliver the message behind it.
Is it defamation if you're not saying, like, by the way, this is that person? Like, we're 100%.
Well, it's not named after her. That's the interesting part of it. Also, the actress, the actress played Katie Giselle. The actress's name is Jessica Baroto Perryman, and this was based on this Colombian woman suing. She alleges that the character was based on her was defamatory and slanderous. But saying this is a case of a
Who
young.
said this was based on her?
I mean, I believe that they've done all this promotional work for the movie that Timothy Ballard would be asked about what it was based on, and he had to name who they were, and those are publicly available because they publish everything that Underground Railroad does, right? So it wouldn't be that far-fetched. So she says this is a case of a young Colombian woman who was tragically condemned by the defendants to the entire world as being a child trafficker without any due process or due diligence by the defendants. And again, Angel Studios is only one of the defendants in the lawsuit. They say the betrayal is highly offensive and has exposed plaintiff Kelly Moya to hatred, contempt, or ridicule in the public eye. So I'm guessing that this meant she was barred from job opportunities, or she lost friendships due to this.
Yeah, and it says that she was not at any of the meetings planning the whole scene at the end of the movie. She was not at any of those. So it says the lawsuit says defendant Ballard knew from the very beginning that plaintiff Keeley was not at any of the 3 meetings where Operation Triple Take was planned, yet he testified she was at the meeting. So she's saying he lied about that. According to the lawsuit, Ballard gave Eduardo money for the party, and the group decided to post on Facebook to invite young people to the party. According to the lawsuit, Moya was not at the meeting, a fact that was verified by court records. And she was arrested and then later released without being prosecuted.
She wasn't convicted of anything.
No, she was never convicted of any crimes. In the following days, on October 9th and 10th, there were more meetings and phone calls to discuss the party, and 3 other individuals were involved and said that they could bring children for the party: Samuel David Martinez, Luis Miguel Mosquera, and Natty Taborda Atencio. So those people were the ones that were involved, but not this lady. The lawsuit points that Moya was not present at the additional planning meetings, nor was she mentioned in the phone calls, as verified by court records. According to the lawsuit, Martinez worked at a modeling studio where he reportedly met Moya and where he was planning to recruit children for the party. Martinez told Moya, a man from North America, one of Ballard's acquaintances, wanted to have sex with a young black girl, and that she would be paid to go to the party, as stated in the lawsuit.
Okay. So in case you guys don't remember or you didn't watch the movie, this villain is introduced as running a fake front for a talent agency where she's doing a talent search and gets this brother and sister and abducts them after they go to this hotel room. It also says that Kelly Moya has been extremely traumatized by additional new negative publicity, which has led her to attend psychotherapy. So I assume that she actually could have some grounds to sue here, unfortunately.
I don't think this goes anywhere.
No, I
don't
mean,
think so.
this is, again, the 5th lawsuit that Tim Ballard has gotten since this movie came out. The other ones we were talking about had to do with, like, alleged misconduct in undercover operations.
I believe those suits have been dropped.
Okay. Yeah. Was there a settlement paid?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Yeah. But this is a response from Angel Studios in a blog post that they actually took down from their website.
I don't know how
it claims that
if her name isn't actually used as her name in there, it could be literally anyone.
Right.
Right.
I'm extremely curious whether they bear a physical resemblance to the actress Jessica Baroto Perryman, who looked extremely evil.
But you did say
She did a great
during
job of looking.
She
evil.
did. Yeah.
You did say that during promotional events they said, "Oh, it was based on this person." That is like grounds, I would say.
Yeah.
But like to say, like, there's a difference between saying like, okay, here's the understanding of the situation that we had at the time, and we're making a movie about that. Whatever happens in court later, whether she's convicted or not convicted, has nothing to do with the idea that she had something to do with this situation. And you can say, we're going to embellish on that to shorten the plot.
Right.
To say that here, this is a perfect, like, a lot of times in writing, you do that where you say like, okay, we've got too many characters here. Let's make this one person do what 7 people did.
Right.
And it could be something as much as that. But if they did, like, it said in there that they doubled down on their statements about her. If they said like, oh no, 100% she did things that there's no record of her having done in court documents, that is grounds.
I'm sure they used the same writing mechanism for the good guys though too.
Yeah.
You know, they got rid of a lot of good guys in the story as well. But it looks like Angel Studios trying to cover up for what they've said about this woman, because they deleted this blog post about her on their website saying that Kelly Moya exploited her reputation in a poverty-stricken neighborhood to recruit children for sex trafficking, according to court documents. And she's seeking a reasonable sum, unnamed sum, for punitive damages to address her invasion of privacy, emotional distress, and defamation that resulted from the film's quote-unquote reckless release.
She was imprisoned for 18 months and later released on habeas corpus, but according to the lawsuit, Ballard allegedly claims in the movie script that she was released because of corrupt judges.
That's not hard to believe at all.
Nope.
And the talking about the corrupt governments in a lot of these countries was part of the movie.
Moya later went and graduated from law school and was ready to put this horrible experience behind her after a few years, according to the lawsuit. However, once Sound of Freedom came out in 2023, the promotional material basically ruined her life, is what she said.
Yeah, she says she's become basically public enemy #1 in Colombia after being anonymous beforehand.
Doesn't it say she says she never had anything to do with any sort of like child talent agency at all?
Well, here's what it
that
says.
Could be an invention of the movie, but if they're saying that we based it on that.
In the film, the character of Giselle, based on Kelly Moya, is shown to be a wealthy beauty queen with a child modeling agency known to traffic her models to the cartel in Colombia. None of that is true according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit says that Kelly Moya never actually won the popularity contest she entered into. She represented her neighborhood in a competition, which was a contest to become an ambassador for her neighborhood, according to the suit. They also reveal that Kelly Moya reportedly never had a modeling agency for children. Kelly was not well known to anyone in Colombia outside of her close family and friends, it continues.
A lot of times this doesn't matter because when they're making movies like this that are based on a true story, they'll make one character that's like an amalgamation of several characters.
Yeah.
So I don't see how this ends up flying in court.
It's kind of necessary, right?
Yeah.
And now you're stifling their creative expression by not allowing them to do that, especially when they didn't name you. And who
the
knows
only
if this
difference is if-
actress even resembles her physically.
The only thing I can come back to is you said that there may have been moments in promo where they were tying that character to this person, and if he said that, then there's grounds there, but it has nothing to do with the movie.
Well, how does Underground Railroad even get funding from donors unless they publicize the stories of their undercover operations, right? So in a way, they kind of have to publish this information and name people that they have gotten arrested.
I'm interested what she alleges her involvement in that particular operation was in the first place. It sounds like she's saying like, oh no, I was just involved, but I wasn't involved.
Well, according to the lawsuit, she says that in the sting operation, she was mistaken for someone else.
Oh. Well, maybe the movie mistook her for someone else.
That could happen
Let's move
to
on.
anybody.
Could that happen to anyone? Could it, though?
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that she did spend 18 months in prison.
Yeah.
So it's just up in the air.
They were mistaken that she was somebody else as well. That's why they let her out.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where this goes.
It's I've never seen.
It does seem like a barrage of lawsuits that are like. It's
designed to get you to. It's designed to dissuade them from making future projects on stuff based like this too. And it's not just that, guys. Like they've got other projects coming out. They have a movie coming out starring Terry Chen and Greg Kinnear called Sight. So that's like this next project that they bought the rights to it. They didn't
Angel
make
Studios.
Yes, they didn't make it themselves, but they bought the rights to it. And I like Terry Chen as an actor. He was in a show called Continuum that I really liked. But it's not just that. There's just
and involved in their deal with Amazon, right? Angel Studios is producing this show called Testament.
Correct.
Which is depicting events in the Book of Acts.
Yeah, and one of the great things that you can do if you are part of this the culture war right now, and you want to stop a place like Angel Studios from really getting a foothold in the industry, is to just bury them in lawsuits and make it financially impossible for them to grow.
Yeah, like, is this really about Timothy Ballard? Is it really about Underground Railroad? Or is it more so that you want to stifle Angel Studios because they're making material that you ideologically object to?
Exactly. And unfortunately, that's going to keep happening going this direction, because when you open a movie studio that has a certain political tie to it, and whether they like it or not, there is. It's even if you make a political entertainment, it's going to be seen that way. That's just the fact of the matter. So this is a problem they're going to have to continue to face as they try to become more
I mean, what really
mainstream.
Angel Studios should do, or Tim Ballard and Angel Studios, they should be suing media publications that were slandering the movie throughout its theatrical run as far-right conspiracy theories, QAnon, everything like that. Yep. They should be suing for defamation if anyone has grounds to do so. But
they're not gonna win either. Like the thing about the people at Angel Studios is they have a very deep love for what they're doing, and they seem to find it to be a calling more than anything else. So they really believe in the power of the storytelling that they're trying to do. So I think you're going to have a hard time getting people to give up when they feel like they have a higher power on their side and a true reason to make their art beyond just making money. So, all right, let's go to Super Chats. We got some.
Yes. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. No Sarah today?" Wow. Wesley is offended.
Wesley should be offended. Sarah wasn't feeling well today.
He also said, "Oh, and since you are now lurking around Reddit, may I suggest r/Catholic memes and r/Ask a Priest? I lurk around them sometimes, only posting on PCC." I'm intrigued about Ask a Priest, because how do you make sure that the person on Reddit is actually a priest unless they're just LARPing as one? But that's interesting. I'll take a look. Shane H. Wilder, update the description, Brett. I feel like a heel treating Wesley like a redheaded stepchild. Sorry, Wesley. Or am I?
What? I don't get what he's saying.
He ignored Wesley.
In what?
Saying no Sarah today.
Oh, in his first
Can you
Super
guys
Chat.
hear
Yes.
that? What's going on right now?
A music meeting.
Oh, okay. I was like, is that a plane going by?
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder, never mind, you did, or I just ignored it.
You ignored it.
You ignored Wesley.
You ignored it. All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Mary, are rom-coms dead?
Yeah, I think that Gen Z might be craving a comeback for rom-coms in the theatrical run, not just on streaming. And the success of Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell's Anyone But You might prove that that revival is coming soon. No one expected this, but it grossed $200 million globally at the box office.
Crazy.
I definitely didn't expect this because based on watching the trailer and the knowledge that they were doing reshoots literally weeks before release, I thought this is going to be awful and Hollywood doesn't know how to make rom-coms anymore. But I think maybe just the star power of Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney is what got people to watch. It's confusing, though, because there's no social media discussion around it.
I've never heard of a single person who's seen this movie.
It does seem a little bit astroturfed, but the proof is in the numbers here. $200 million.
I mean, I guess...
on what? A budget of like 30 million.
Yeah. I guess maybe let's be honest. Right now, as big as Glenn Powell is getting, it's the power of Sydney Sweeney. You know, it's the power of her upper body. That's really what's driving most of this right now.
Well, in general, people want to see hot people in movies. That's a huge selling point, obviously. And this is the first rom-com to gross 200 million globally since Crazy Rich Asians in 2018. I didn't even know that Crazy Rich Asians was a rom-com. I thought it was just kind of a racial grievance movie.
Wait, maybe what this would do is like, now that if you go to the casino over here, there's Crazy Rich Asian
slot machines,
gambling machines.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll make Anyone But You ones, and they'll base it around like her tits and his six pack, and it'll be some weird game that you'll have to play. That's literally where we're going in society right now.
Yeah. Jokes aside about the name of the director, his name is Will Gluck. But anyway, the director of Anyone But You, his name is Will Gluck. Okay, we've moved past that now. We're done. He said to The Hollywood Reporter that Anyone But You was an attempt to make the last rom-com in the history of cinema and theatricality. So he clearly thinks that the genre of rom-coms is totally dead, and this is just a eulogy to the genre. Having not watched it, I don't know if it's any good. They also noted that last year, Netflix refused to cooperate with Nancy Meyers for a rom-com project that had an asking price of $130 million budget, even though years back they spent $175 million on Martin Scorsese's The Irishman.
Well, unfortunately for Nancy Meyer, you may have made The Holiday, you may have made Father of the Bride. You're not Martin Scorsese.
She's got a track record for what she does, but no rom-com needs to be $130 million.
It does not.
It's just not a thing.
In fact, it ruins it. Like when the budget gets that big, it actually ends up ruining it. It's like when they're talking about the Joker having a budget of $200 million. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why the hell does this movie need to be $200 million? It just sounds like money laundering.
It does.
Yep, that's where I was going.
Well, that's what a lot of it is, actually. Another hypothesis that they have floated here is that actresses are more willing to star in rom-coms, but it seems their male counterparts are avoiding them the best they can. Kate Hudson argues the lack of good rom-coms is due to the fact that a lot of male actors aren't willing to appear in them anymore. According to her, male actors have opted to go down the action hero route in comic book movies instead of rom-coms. She isn't entirely wrong, seeing as Chris Evans and Mark Ruffalo, two former mainstays of the MCU, both shed their rom-com past in exchange for more serious roles and haven't gone back to rom-coms since. And I think of immediately Jacob Elordi hating on his role in the Netflix Kissing Booth series, saying that he's so above that and he's so glad that he's getting more serious roles now, even though he's 28?
Good point. John Durham says Fall Guy is probably going to be a rom-com disguised as an action movie. That's what I pointed out.
True.
I made a point the other day. I said the only way they're willing to greenlight rom-coms now is like if they make it like The Lost World. They're the one with Sandra Bullock and was that Channing Tatum and
The Lost Kingdom or something?
In The Lost Kingdom, The Lost
Something like
World, whatever it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. There's The Spy Who Dumped Me.
Yes.
There's This Means War. There's like a whole bunch of these movies that are like the only way they're going to get.
And Argyle, obviously Argyle.
Yeah. They're going to get those actors. They're going to get Chris Pine and Tom Hardy, Henry Cavill, John Cena. Is you're making an action movie or a rom-com couched in an action movie. But the problem is they're all bad. Like that's like I laugh every time any situation like this or question comes up like this. It's been for years. It's been for over a decade. Where is this dead? Is this dead? Are comic book movies dead? Is this
The Lost
dead?
City. Sorry.
The Lost City. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, cinema's dead.
They'll say like, just because this movie succeeded, that means it's hope for the genre. So if you've got that script, polish it off because people are looking for them. And it's like, no, it was a good movie. Like make a good fucking movie, and people will go see it.
Language.
Sorry.
You're good. It's fine. No, you're right. But I mean, they're asking, is this genre dead? Is this genre dead? No, like movies in general are dead.
But there's too many of them. And there's too many shows and movies that they're just greenlighting whatever.
The rom-coms are really going to streaming, and they don't have good production value, and they don't have star power.
Yeah, but that's a good place for it. If you have a good script, that's a good place for it. Like,
you can't make a modern day Miss Congeniality and put it on streaming. That's not happening.
You can do that if you're going to actually just raid the IPs, like a Mean Girls. Like these are movies where
I disagree. I think you can do that if you if the script
No, I'm saying
is
you
good.
can't do it and put it in theaters. They're going to send it to streaming unless it has IP behind it.
Yeah.
Right, which is really
Sandra Bullock.
disheartening.
Yes.
Yeah. Another hypothesis is that rom-coms are dead because dating culture is dead and is an absolute hellscape right now. The focus
Honestly,
on
making good rom-coms could fix that because
could.
they don't know what dating is supposed to be like.
It could. This says the focus on making realistic rom-coms kills the romance in a way, but that might just be a reflection of dating nowadays, which is inherently less earnest, less romantic, and less vulnerable.
Hard to make a movie about a bunch of people swiping on Tinder.
Yep.
Right.
But then don't make it about that. Make it like how it should be, and people will be like, "Oh, this very vapid, empty thing that I'm participating in is ruining my life, is ruining my view of other people in the world."
Superhero-
And show that. Make a movie about that.
In the chat,
Ridiculous.
Clitorum says rom-coms are
What?
meant for Netflix and chill situations. That's the problem, though. They want to make money at the box office, and women are a huge untapped market for most of these things, right? You need movies that are going to bring women to the cinema, like Barbie. Barbie could have been turned into a rom-com.
I still feel strongly that Barbie and Ken should have ended up together at the end of the movie. It should have been a rom-com. It was successful nonetheless, but it would have just made me feel more like it was tied in a bow at the end if they at least had a kiss.
Fall Guy is likely going to fall into that category. As somebody says, he said in the chat earlier, Fall Guy will fall into that category. It'll be great. And that movie looks like a lot of fun. At least to me it does. But you're not going to get a lot of these movies that are greenlit without some type of action premise behind it. It's just not going to happen for the most part.
Do people just hate love?
I think that I think people are jaded.
Everyone is so cynical
and
that they
even if-
can't enjoy a rom-com anymore.
Or even no, maybe that's self-reporting. Maybe it's not that people are too jaded. Maybe the people that are now making the movies are too jaded because they all fall into one philosophical and ideological category, and we know that that's not one that takes a very positive view of the relationship between men and women.
Right. Maybe the audience is still yearning for a rom-com that doesn't take itself too seriously, but then the people who are in charge of making those films are jaded and cynical and don't believe in love. And that's what they noted about Anyone But You. And I don't know because I didn't watch it, but they said it's an interesting case study of box office success while not meeting the expectations of rom-com fans. It approaches love with an air of cynicism and disregard. At times, the film comes across as if it's embarrassed to be a rom-com in the first place. It wishes it could be doing anything else instead of forcing a love story between two people who had more chemistry in their press run than the film itself. And that was even a whole PR mess for Anyone But You.
Yeah.
Is the breakup rumors around Glenn Powell and his then fiance, who is also a supermodel, by the way. They're saying, Sydney Sweeney is getting a little bit too up close and personal with Glenn Powell on this press circuit. And then his supermodel fiance got pissed off and broke up with him. And I think that they had more in real life chemistry than the clips that I saw from the movie. And I want Sydney Sweeney to leave her fiance for Glenn Powell.
And let's face it, if they try to make these movies now, there's just so much red tape and handcuffs that are put to people when talking about romantic topics. They're like, let's make a movie about consent. Well, nobody, you know what I'm saying? There's all sorts of things that they won't be able to get out of their own way.
I'm disgusted that you even just said that.
They will not be able to get out of their own way with the movie making.
That ignited an anger in me.
Look at the way they critically look back on things like Snow White or Beauty and the Beast and stuff like that, and the way that they talk about that. You think the people that are that mentally ill that talk about those things that way are going to be able to make a carefree, leisurely romantic comedy? No.
When you have Rachel Zegler on the red carpet saying, it's not about love. Snow White's not about love. She doesn't have a love interest. She doesn't need no man.
Yep.
Well, that's not the kind of industry that's going to be making rom-coms for you. They hate love.
Or any money.
or any money.
And all of the women that are now A-listers in Hollywood, they're going to be feeding you a feminist message on their press tours that have nothing to do with love. They're going to have to find some way. Remember, that it's going to be verbose, it's going to be over the top, it's going to be wordy, and it's going to try to put in eloquent words just why it's good to be alone and be in your power.
Oh yeah, you need to fall in love with yourself. That's what it is these days. They want to make movies about self-love when that doesn't resonate with people. People want to see love stories
Don't make me
about
point to the
actual
sign.
relationships.
They're Satanists.
They are.
Don't make me point.
Could it be Satan?
And the only
He
other,
is all about self-love.
in the only other romantic comedies
He's an
that
ally.
are greenlighting these days are LGBTQ themed.
They're
rom-coms.
bros.
Yes, or what's the one that just came out? Drive-Away Dolls.
Drive-Away Dolls about a lesbian road trip.
Yes.
Yeah, and no one wants to see that. I'm sorry, but like we didn't make it to 7 billion or 8 billion people on this planet by everyone being queer. Okay? It's 99% of people out there, they want to see a straight couple who are both conventionally attractive falling in love.
Like at this point, I think people would settle for a bad rom-com with good-looking people.
I mean, they were even floating the idea of like, what if Daniel Radcliffe did a rom-com with Quinta Brunson? Now, I don't know if you guys know who Quinta Brunson is, but she's in Abbott Elementary, and I found out who she was from watching BuzzFeed videos in the 2010s. She is not giving leading actress in a rom-com, okay? She is able to play a frumpy middle school teacher. That's who she is. No, nothing against her as a person, but no one wants to see a rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe and Quinta Brunson.
Yeah, they've seemed to just shy away from the idea that that there is such a thing as like you just have a look for
the look
something.
being hot.
Yeah,
like they want to attack the idea that objective attractiveness even
not just
exists.
that, but like for all types of roles. Like there's an actor named it's like John Sklarov or something, and he looks evil. The guy, I'm sure the guy's like the nicest guy in the entire world, but everything he's in, he plays an evil like, he just plays evil people.
And that's his job.
And that's his job. He looks evil when he's on camera, therefore it's good, right?
You just lean into the typecasting because that's how you get a job. And don't whine about it. But I don't want to see unconventional beauty in a rom-com or anything, really. No one wants to see that. They might tell themselves that, but it's not true. No one wants to actually see themselves on screen. Or if you do, you're actually a narcissist.
I actually disagree with you on that like 110% because I do believe that the next generation of people are desperate to see themselves on screen because we have an increasingly narcissistic culture.
Well, Gen Z clearly loves Sydney Sweeney. They clearly came out to support this movie. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell are both conventionally attractive, not just by today's standards, but by all standards.
I agree with you, but I have one subtle nuance. I hate when beautiful people are cast as people that are supposed to be ugly and weird. I hate that.
Really? I kind of like it.
Crazy.
I kind of like it.
I hate it.
What do you think, Brett?
Like, this person's so ugly, and you're like, that's Rachel Lee Cook. She's objectively
it's like
not ugly.
Not another teen movie.
Yeah.
Girl who wears glasses and a pigtail.
It's the guy. It's the guy from the show Beauty and the Beast, where it's like he's.
But
just
it's not another teen movie. That's the point of the joke. And she's all that. They're like, oh my god, this girl is hideous. And they're like, no, she's not objectively beautiful.
In the Beauty and the Beast TV show, the guy is literally just a male model, but he's got like a scar here. So now he's suddenly he's suddenly.
What's that dude's name again? He disappeared.
I don't remember what that guy's name was, but.
Alex.
I like it. Like in CW shows, everyone is just inexplicably attractive.
No, we were talking
and
about
also
that.
usually bad actors.
We were talking about like I still think that's what actually holds Stephen Amell back is that he's too good looking to be as good of an actor as he is, so they don't take him
Alex
seriously.
Pettifer. Yeah, I'm glad he went away.
But no, there was like a show called Beauty and the Beast from the CW.
Beastly.
A couple years ago.
Beauty and the Beastly?
No, it's just Beastly.
Oh, okay.
And this is the guy, and it's like, yes, he's so hideous.
This.
Yes, he's the Beast.
He's got a single scar across his face. Yes, he's unsightly.
Yeah, but I like that.
This is the job. By the way, this is the guy who he always plays an evil dude because he just always looks evil when he's in his
Maybe
roles.
he is evil.
Maybe he is. I have no idea. But
Well, you don't see him whining about the fact that he's not in rom-coms. Okay?
actually, he could play Jeremy Boring in a movie.
You think? He's very tall and lanky, though.
Yes. All I'm saying is that I think the next generation of viewers are going to care more about identity, and it's going to seep more into. It's going to be worse.
Well, we need to train them out of that.
Yeah. It would
You
be
know,
nice.
by giving people aspirational movies and aspirational characters, you will train them out of the desire to see themselves on screen.
We also need more Not Another Teen movies, but we'll never get more movies like that.
Also, I just wanted to mention this insane headline. Move over, Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. The internet has crowned Godzilla and Kong as the new rom-com power couple. So I guess Godzilla and Kong are in a gay relationship with each other.
It just sounds like a cutesy headline. I don't think that's what they're saying.
Unless Godzilla is actually female.
All right, let's go to the Super Chats then.
Surenko Productions said, well, Wesley was pregnant with Bertman, though. Real ones know. I did think about that, yeah.
Well, it wasn't with Bertman, first of all. He just happened to be there. Oh, wait, you mean pregnant with Bertman. Gotcha, never mind. I thought you meant pregnant from Bertman, which is a different...
Yeah, no. T-Dog said Hollywood needs to watch the OG Avatar: The Last Airbender. Everything that they are trying to do, Avatar: The Last Airbender did it 1,000 times better. Strong characters, compelling story, no woke. I agree. Did you watch the original? Or
The
are you just
cartoon?
watching the...
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was a teenager at that time, but like, it was still good.
Shane H. Wilder said, I bet the jelly bean was licorice flavored. Ugh, gross.
So it was an earwax.
I hate those. I ate the puke jelly bean. It was disgusting. Shane H. Wilder, so she's essentially a Kirkland brand mall walker.
Well, you know, that's fine.
You're allowed to be a mall walker if you're over 55.
Yes.
That's I don't accept that from her. Pat the Plumber said, anyone who doesn't like CM Punk can be forgiven for snubbing me yesterday. Punk is mid.
Yeah, I just he's just made of glass now. He's old. He's annoying on social media.
That's true.
Just fine.
Wade McUnda said, cue up the Idiocracy Costco scene. So good, LOL.
We should watch Idiocracy on here and do watch-alongs. How hard is it to do watch-alongs on the Discord?
Not hard at all.
There's copyright concerns, though, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
No?
I could have sworn Brett Mack said there was.
Oh, well, maybe there are now. There weren't when I used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
You can get around it if everybody's got it and you just post a time code.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay. Easy Doglog said, how do y'all feel about the new Borderlands series and who they're casting? Jack Black, thumbs down.
Well, you don't even see Jack Black. He's voice acting.
He's barely
in
in
that.
it.
I thought that all the actresses looked unbelievably disinterested to be there in the trailer. Somebody got really. There's this guy who just loves to make fun of me in the comments. He really didn't like that I didn't think Cate Blanchett was right for the role, and that's fair. I disagree with you. I think that just because she's a great actress doesn't mean that you're the right actress for that role. It's like what we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like there is such a thing as just having the right look for a role, right? That happens all the time. Now I'm more interested in finding out whether they're actually going to cast Henry Cavill as Cyclops in the MCU.
Shane H. Wilder said, not the end of the world unless you're low on gas.
Yes, because they were at the gas station. No, that's what somebody should have made like a response TikTok where it's like he's just looking out his window trying to park and get gas, and all the women are just dancing, and he's just honking at them. He's like, "Ladies, I gotta get to work. Can you please?" Nobody wants to move.
It's worse than protesters
Let's
blocking the road.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would be a good question. What is worse? Like a bunch of dancing sorority girls, or I guess the protesters are
is
way
worse.
worse.
Yeah, I take it back.
As soon as you said it that way, I was like, well.
Unless
Now that I think about
you
it.
get like lead poisoning from all the Stanleys being in one place, it could be a thing. So.
It's a public safety hazard,
It is.
obviously.
Let's hold off on the rest. Mary,
Yeah.
why don't you tell everyone what Taylor Swift is once again being accused of?
You guys ready for it?
Tax fraud.
That would be based.
Oh, that would be based. Imagine my shock when Taylor Swift is once again being accused of being a Satanist and performing demonic rituals on stage at the Eras Tour. I was so shocked. Pop star Taylor Swift has been accused of performing Aic rituals at her concerts during the Eras Tour by an Irish singer named Shane Lynch, who said that the Bad Blood singer might not even realize what she's doing. He said in a new interview, I think when you're looking at a lot of the artists out there, a lot of their stage shows are satanic rituals live in front of 20,000 people without them realizing or recognizing. You'll see a lot of hoods up and masks on and fire ceremonies. It's basically eyes wide shut. Even down to Taylor Swift, one of the biggest artists in the world. You watch one of her shows and she has 2 or 3 different demonic rituals to do with pentagrams on the ground, to do with all sorts of stuff on her stage. But to a lot of people, it's just art, and that's how people are seeing it, unfortunately. And for context, Shane Lynch was in an Irish boy band that was formed back in 1993 called Boyzone. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Boyzone, but they had a few hits, and I think they were.
It kind of went hard.
I think that they were like a Christian, like leaning band, so it makes sense that this guy is definitely Christian. And I looked into him a little bit. It says Shane Lynch has coined a word for his bad boy years: Shaneanigans. The Boyzone singer spent much of his 20s between concerts and autograph signings, drinking, swearing, and getting into scraps. Around that time, he also became fascinated by the occult, the evidence of which is still visible in tattoos on his skin. This anti-God, anti-Christ season became a problem when Lynch later became a Christian, so he added more ink to alter the meanings. In this interview, he shares the full story of this conversion. So he's definitely publicly professing Christian, and he believes that Taylor Swift is a satanic influence on the youth.
The only cool outcome to this now, at this point, is just that she actually is evil and actually is blatantly doing it. That's the only way I accept this now.
This is a cool nostalgia factor, though. He's bringing back the argument that certain beats in music are demonic. He said when it comes to a lot of music that's out there at the moment, more of the hip hop side of things, there's a lot of hidden satanic and a lot of evil within them, including down to the beats. It's very real. Music attaches to your emotions. It has a connection to your spirit and how you feel. That's why I've stopped listening to those types of music myself, because it doesn't suit my spirit. And he says that especially when it comes to children, certain music is 100% has a negative effect on society. Our society has never been worse in many areas, and it starts from our children. It's coming in right at our children from the very beginning to get them to sway away from anything godly, anything controlled or disciplined. It's getting wilder and wilder out there for a reason. Yeah. And he also, in the past year, said that Sam Smith and Beyonce are, quote, so demonic, it's unbelievable. That I would agree with about Sam Smith, because he's literally dressing up as Satan with a pitchfork and doing what he does on stage.
Listening to a lot of the old horrorcore rap that I listened to growing up, which is actually demonic, because a lot of it is essentially stuff like UGK, Ghetto Boys, Spice One, Doomsday Productions, and a lot of it is written as if fever dreams from PCP. There's heinous stuff that would get us banned on YouTube in the lyrics if I said it here. I'm like 9 years old, like listening to this stuff, right? That's when I think of demonic. And I actually got into it because I was talking to somebody on Twitter about it. I was like, I can't believe that. I was like listening to this in the car, you know, with my headphones on and stuff like that. Like stuff about dead children, stuff like just awful shit. But it's written in an artistic perspective of somebody who's just high out of his mind on drugs that give you violent thoughts and tendencies, right? But it's still art in a lot of ways. The idea that they're like cramming it into the Taylor Swift stuff because of the symbolism makes sense, but we're just in such a place now where, because she's so profitable for everyone that wants to talk about, everyone has to find their way to get a piece of what she can do for them,
right?
That I'm just like, bro, I watched a dentist talk about her veneers for like 10 minutes. Like, they're just finding their way to fit it into their spectrum.
Well, in regard to what you're talking about with that rap music, I know it's hard for you to put yourself in this position, but what if you were the dad of 9-year-old Brett? Would you let 9-year-old Brett be listening to that type of music? Would you? Well,
you could blame 14-year-old Big Brother Ben for not keeping his CDs locked up, because that's what I would do.
Would you let 14-year-old brother Ben?
He would have been older. My brother was 7 years older than me, so he'd have been like 16.
Okay,
but,
whatever.
He would have been able to buy him himself because he had his own job, so he could have bought his own music.
If you put yourself in that position, would you have allowed 9-year-old you to listen to that music? Be honest.
I'm not a dad, so I can't say, but probably not.
Okay, so why?
I have no idea how to explain. It would not be a good influence, but I also see it as one of those things where I can look back on it now with a little bit more of a laugh, because I turned out very different. But I was raised with structure in a suburb, right? Like I listen to this stuff, and it's not. I'm not listening it for in an ironic way. but it was entertainment, and I always consumed it as such. I watched plenty of horror movies at that age too that also had blood, guts, and dead teenagers that didn't turn me into a serial killer, because at the end of the day, art is still art. And if you've been raised with halfway decent parents, you have a separation between fact and fiction and the ability to consume art for what it is, you can responsibly evaluate something that may be a little bit risque.
Well,
right?
I don't know if it's the best representation of the argument to say, like, well, I listened to this or I watched this and I didn't become a serial killer. Because it's not exactly what this more conservative side of the culture is saying the influences on children.
Yep.
No one thinks that girls are going to go to the Eras tour and then suddenly start doing satanic rituals in their bedrooms or becoming witches, right? But it's a more sinister influence precisely because of the fact that it's less in your face.
And at the time when I was younger, I didn't think about the social implications of something like this. And I don't think people at that age do.
But when you don't have the ability to think about those implications, or you don't have the ability to filter what you consume as a kid, that's the reason why you have older adults to decide for you what you're exposed to.
It's also why the albums came with parental advisory stickers that we always seem to find a way around. Yeah, I just, I laugh because now we have a job now that requires us to overanalyze so much of what this stuff is. You forget what it was like to just be a passive consumer, where you found something with a song with a hook you really, really like, and the lyrics, maybe they speak to you a little bit, maybe they don't. I certainly didn't think about what it meant for the people who grew up. You know, the people who wrote these songs wrote from personal experience, things that actually happened to them where they were raised, and I'm so far removed from that it's more interesting about how it can actually bridge the gap between different cultural and socioeconomic divides to me than anything else. But that's an overly annoying and
9-year-old Brett was not even close to thinking about that.
9-year-old Brett was like, we were laughing about it because I was playing this song and they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, but picture 9-year-old Brett with a Discman going,
yeah,
like this. There is a line about deep fried baby guts, and I was trying to explain. I'm like, but 9-year-old Brett didn't care. 9-year-old Brett was just like, cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also like a little bit of a difference between like somebody writing about like artfully, for better or worse, describing what they went through in a situation, and somebody being like, oh, by the way, hail the Dark Lord. Or like not even, but being much less open about it, and including people in it unbeknownst to themselves, a lot of them thinking they're at the show of this Christian person who
Taylor Swift, you mean?
Yes. Yeah, there's a difference between that, and then slowly and subtly influencing them to act counter to those values over time, that breaks down the walls that their parents are trying to build for them in the first place, while the parents are being lied to by like, no, it's Taylor Swift, she's like a Christian from the heartland, she's just this innocent pop star.
She's Miss Americana.
And it's like, no.
Well, I don't know if you've looked into this as deeply as we have unfortunately done, but I think that what he's referring to here is what looks like an occult ritual during the performance of one of her songs from the album Evermore called Willow. And you can look at the music video as well. It's inspired by that, the way they designed the set. All of the dancers and Taylor, they wear these hooded cloaks, and it looks like they're in this enchanted forest, and they're all holding these glowing orbs, and they're throwing them in different patterns and directions. And the performance also involves the incorporation of different elements of the earth, which is, like that is part of certain
Druidism.
certain occult rituals. But would I go so far as to say Taylor Swift is cognizant of that, or even the set designers? I'm not sure. Even though I'm more sympathetic to, like, I'm a conservative, authoritarian, moralist, etc. I am sympathetic to that read of what it is, but I just am not sure Taylor Swift herself is cognizant of that, or her fans, obviously. What do you think?
I always think I'm of the Hollywood conspiracy mindset that like to get to this level, you're making certain agreements with certain entities, be they groups of people or institutions, or that you're going to do things our way and you're going to toe a certain line in your personal life to represent yourself the way we want you to represent, or your career's over. like I think of all of these people as made people, not self-made people. It doesn't mean that they don't have talent. I'm just saying there's a lot of talented people out there. How come some breach a certain level that others who are just as talented don't? It's their marketability. They're selected. And why is money, like the only reason she's able to do a tour like this is because there are people willing to put money behind it, knowing that there will be a return on that investment. There's other groups, and how come it seems to be the ones that are on this level always have something, there's something about them individually and the way like they say things in certain ways. Bono is another one. Like, ask yourself why U2 still has some of the largest, most expensive like concerts in the world. I'm a conspiracy theorist about that. I think there's something to
why were they allowed to perform at the Sphere?
Right, and then like I see things like go back in time almost 20 years now. I think when Pink did the VMAs, I think, and that's one of the most like esoterically deep and rich performances I've ever seen, and it's just right
Pink?
on the dot. Pink, yeah.
Of all people, Pink was doing this.
Yes.
Can you recap this?
Yeah, she did the entire
seen it.
Rite of the Entered Apprentice of Freemasonry. That was the show.
Do you think that Pink herself would have known what this was?
100%.
And what it meant?
So, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll take a look at that after.
It's 100% it. It's not like, oh, it's kind of inspired by this. They did it. Like they did the Rite of the Entered
Or
Apprentice.
Brett, can you pull it up? I don't know, like if we would get a copyright claim for.
We would get a copyright claim.
Okay, well maybe we'll avoid that, but I'll look up that video on my own time. But yeah, just in order to be a Taylor Swift or any of these stars, you have to think about all of these powerful people that you need to make sure like you and favor you, right? Like Taylor Swift wouldn't be Taylor Swift without the backing, both financially and just professionally, socially, of so many powerful people that we don't know the names of.
Yep.
It's just it's not organic. And I'm not saying her appeal entirely to young women is inorganic. I understand it completely and where it comes from, but it's not 100% organic.
But like at a certain point, you see enough of this everywhere, whether it's with Taylor Swift or Katy Perry. Like Katy Perry's videos are really like occult oriented, whether it's like Eye of Horus stuff and.
I'm about to go on Vigilant Citizen right now and look up Katy Perry and you see all the examples.
Mm-hmm. And like other, what's her name? Is it Doja Cat that does all the like crazy demon stuff?
I mean, she literally has a song called Demon in which the music video in which she dresses up as a demon in black body paint.
But you see enough of it to where it's like, okay, they know what they're doing at the very least. And I like, you hear enough stories from people that have been in the industry and say like, yes, deeply embedded in this industry, there are people who are trying to like do these things.
But if you ask Doja Cat, she would say that you're an idiot, and she's actually, by making a song called Demon, making fun of you for even thinking that she's involved in some secret network of occult ritualism.
I don't think so. Like I think maybe on the surface, yes, but like there's
always what they
a lot
say.
of depth to the, like she has a music video that's all Masonic stuff. It's newish, I think.
Is it Paint the Town Red?
Maybe it's the one with all the like checkered floors and
okay.
And like the people that are designing that know. Like they know a lot about Masonic lore. Like they understand it's not something you get from a Wikipedia search. It's something that you understand what the meaning behind these to this particular institution are. And it makes sense that like there's a lot of money in those institutions. Where do you think a lot of money comes from? It comes from large industries, be it architecture, which they're very deeply embedded in, and entertainment. And like they want to influence the world. I'm not saying that like there is a panel of Masons that run the world like a star chamber, but I do think that they are deeply embedded. There's a reason that a lot of presidents are Masons or members of Skull and Bones. There's a reason. They may not be aware to the level of control that those institutions have, and a lot of the celebrities may be like, oh, this is just cool, provocative stuff, but there is ill intent behind it at the very, very, very top, in my opinion. And I think that people like I remember I started noticing this stuff when CeeLo Green started doing a bunch of like set design and stuff for different artists.
Which is funny because he was like a legitimately really gifted rapper, like all the way back in the late 90s.
Yeah,
like,
but he was always a big in the design of concerts, production, and the music. And he puts a lot of like really dark imagery in those designs and in the music, and like and he says as much. You know, there are other artists who are like, yeah, like this is, people are aware of this. Like Cat Williams is in trouble now for saying that. Like, yeah, everybody
About
knows this.
CeeLo Green.
No, about P Diddy.
Saying,
like they know this stuff. Like it's not. They're aware at least at the top levels. A lot of these up and coming people may be like, oh, this is going to be awesome, and then they get in over their head. There's a reason that like child stars are crazy people a lot of times. It's because the people at the top do bad things to them and put them in bad situations. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Like it's becoming more and more obvious because of the internet. But yes, if there's something that looks like an occult ritual in a concert that costs $1 billion to produce for a tour, there's probably something to it. It's not an accident.
What do you think, Brett?
Yes.
Okay. Also, I just want to point out, Taylor Swift did not make homemade Pop-Tarts for the Chiefs at the Super Bowl. That is literally physically impossible. Unless she is the Antichrist and is capable of bilocating and time traveling.
No, what they'll say is like she was on her private jet with her private kitchen on her private jet.
Yeah.
She cooked it on
She bakes homemade Pop-Tarts on her private jet.
Awesome, by the way.
I will say
Okay, but she didn't make them.
I will say
Just saying,
that
if she did, it would have been based.
The new memes of like Taylor Swift going to this event and it's just showing a plane going somewhere where it doesn't normally go. There's one, it says like Taylor Swift going to the bathroom at the Super Bowl and just a plane going across the field.
Look, I'm not even an NFL fan, but when I see the headline, Andy Reid opens up about having Taylor Swift around this season, pro football talk, that pisses me off. And for some reason, Andy Reid is actually naive enough to think that Taylor Swift herself baked him homemade Pop-Tarts for the Chiefs.
In the chat,
it didn't happen.
Let's go to Super Chats. In the chat, Cobra Commander says, F you. I'm not going to say it. And it was a great CeeLo song. Listen to the song One for the Road. It's really, really good.
Shane H. Wilder said, not the end of the world. Oh, I already read that one. He said, there's a reason it says based on a true story.
Yes, rather than being entirely a true story.
Emphasis on the based. He also said the priest on Ask a Priest are verified and are denoted with a priest tag. The subreddit is modded by a priest and connected to r/Catholicism. Wait, does the Catholic Church officially control the subreddit for Catholicism? I need to know.
r/Catholicism.
A serious man said, gotta hand it to Mary, such discipline, she never turns her head on camera. So hard to get a profile freeze frame for use in memes. Well, there's not really any situation where I need to because Brett's right across from me and then Wesley is just right here and I kind of, well, it's bad form to be constantly shifting and
I just
moving.
turn and look at the wall all the time. I'm not even listening to these guys.
Do you? I don't even notice. Left-handed Link said simps for Mary be like, hi Mary. Oh, and you too, Brent.
Yeah, whatever.
Brent.
They do enjoy calling him Brent.
I'm second fiddle. That's fine. Brent
and Brett with one T.
And Brett with one T. That's
Yeah.
good.
DCNC said Demolition Man, an action rom-com, and Sandra Bullock.
Yes, does have also some of the greatest character names in the history of movies. Characters like Simon Phoenix and John Spartan.
Love that. Corey Anderson said Sydney Sweeney equals Tits McGee. YouTube maybe made me spell it that way.
Poor YouTube. Always trying to censor everyone.
Okay. Left-handed Link said, Mary, thou shalt not zin. Well, if you could cite that for me, cite your sources, please. Shane H. Wilder said, cue Sir Renko asking if Swift is the Antichrist. Wesley, is she?
No, she's not.
No. Okay. We got the answer, officially. The Last of My Kind said, 2 stream movies for commentary. All you need is to have a start time. You don't need to risk copyright or actually show the movie. Mary, I'm thinking you would like Rocky 3, King of the Hill, and Community.
Perhaps.
Would you agree with those? I mean, I've already watched King of the Hill. It's pretty good. I don't think I would rewatch it.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Community. Would you agree with this?
I think you should watch Rocky 4.
Why that? Specifically that
Dolph
one.
Lundgren.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa. Yeah, Rocky Balboa is good.
Organized Business Services said, Brett, I see your pain. Maybe start talking sports. Brett's not really, you're not really into sports like that much.
I mean, I don't follow as closely
unless
as I
it's
did.
the Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas. No, I like, I follow baseball in the summer. Like like passively. Like I follow through John Boy clips, and I love the art behind baseball, the statistic-minded nature of baseball and situation of it. But the rest of it, and hockey and stuff. But I don't follow teams anymore, not since I was a kid.
Shane H. Wilder said, can we get Wesley with y'all on the next PCC conspiracy video to talk about this? It would be great.
We'll have to pick one.
Yeah, what kind of PCC conspiracies?
What kind of pop culture conspiracy would you like to talk about?
Pop culture conspiracy?
What comes to mind is one that particularly interests you?
Oh, man, I'm too on the spot to think about it.
Yep.
I would have to think about it.
Okay. Corey Anderson said, Mary and Beret are the best YouTubers. Now Brett is Beret. That's the French version of Brett. High Voltage 75 said, Wes, I'm not a Timcast member, so I only get to see the Cast Castle stuff on YouTube. Just wanted to say I liked the escape room attic bit, and Mary's ghostly cameo was well done. That's all.
Thank you.
There was a escape room attic bit.
Yes, it was like Halloween, and where Saw was coming out, so we did a thing where Ian locked me and Aaron up there, like Saw, and he was like, "It's an escape room." We're like, "Okay, what are the puzzles?" And he's like, "Oh, whoops, I didn't think of that." So we just had to like dig our way out. Like, he didn't realize that the escape room. Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Brett didn't know that. Sorenko Productions said, Wesley, any recommendations of YouTube channels or other sites for falling down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories?
Oh man, yeah, many of them. The Y-Files is a big one. It's a fun one.
Is that like WHY?
Yeah,
Y-Files,
Files. Yeah, it's the one with the fish. Yeah, actually, the guy on that is actually kind of based. Would be a cool guest here. He's like a voice actor, Hollywood guy. That one. That's. There's others I don't want to like out.
What do you mean out?
I don't want to like say that I like.
He doesn't want to give them more views or something like that.
No,
what?
Are you gatekeeping conspiracy theory
that's not
YouTube
what I mean.
channels right
I don't
now?
Be like, I don't want to be like, hey, I watched this YouTube channel.
Why? Because you're embarrassed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of refreshing.
Does Y-Files even show his face?
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't look like it, but
Yeah, it's him sitting in a chair next to a fish.
we could reach out.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
So you're not going to give any other recommendations, is what I'm hearing.
I'm trying to think. It's mostly not YouTube channels. I know there's a.
You can tell on yourself.
There's a great
fine.
podcast called Ancient Conspiracies that I really enjoy. But it's everything I watch is usually from a Christian perspective. So.
Okay. Cobra Commander said the only sport worth watching is ladies beach volleyball. Something about the skill and athleticism on display, as long as the camera is behind them. That's skill and athleticism.
That's what we love about it.
Yep. Corey Anderson said, Wesley, is there a date set?
No, there's not. Lots to plan around.
One day.
One day, yeah.
For what?
A wedding.
Oh, okay. I was like, is this something else? Organized Business Services said, then Brett, start talking baseball sometimes?
Like sometimes it gets brought up during the show, I think, in some fashion. Like I really like my Instagram. I repost a lot of like novel baseball clips and old stuff. I watched this really, really heartbreaking clip yesterday, for instance, about this conspiracy theory that the Minnesota Twins, my Minnesota Twins, rigged the 1991 World Series. They stole it by basically behind home plate at the Metrodome. There are these two large fans that a guy at the stadium who worked there would turn the fans on during Twins at bats and off during the away teams at bats.
So it's loud?
So I guess it would make the ball go farther. Like I'm not kidding.
Not even
like,
for the sound to be like distracting.
and some people were calling cap on that, but it was heartbreaking to watch that. Not quite the same thing as the Astros in 2017 cheating, but
got a $20 from Mountain Goat. The Y-Files is one that we will watch every week without fail. Long lived Hecklefish. Is that what his fans are
Lizard
called?
people.
Okay. Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, Wesley, thank you.
We actually got the second price for it. Thanks so much, guys. Can we get 3? Let's get 3.
Let's go.
It ends very abruptly.
Well, it has to.
Yeah.
With an explosion.
It does. It has to. It just if it
fitting.
fades out, it doesn't quite work.
Shane H. Wilder said Wesley should follow the minor league baseball team, the Round Rock Chupacabras.
The great thing about minor league
I like
baseball,
the Indianapolis Indians personally.
the minor league baseball teams get way cooler logos and way cooler team names. For instance, I have a lot of baseball hats, and I only collect a couple of types of hats: Minnesota Twins hats, Seattle Mariners hats, because I love Ken Griffey Jr. And then the rest of the minor league team hats that I collect are all teams that were like farm teams for the Minnesota Twins, so their minor league players would work their way up through their farm system. One, the Cedar Rapids Kernels, it's just literally a corn on the cob kernel.
That's it.
It's
The
awesome.
Toledo Mud Hens is a favorite of mine.
There's so many good ones. It's great stuff.
Great stuff. Perturbed Alpaca said, how would a Brett simp misspell Mary? Murray.
No,
M-E-R-R-Y.
Chrissy Mayer is just Mary with the Y and the R
Backwards.
Yeah. So we'll call you Chrissy rather than.
Okay. I don't see the next one. They're not populating for me now.
Okay.
So the next one, Last of My Kind.
Perturbed Alpaca. You got that.
The Last of My
one.
Kind said Rocky 3 and 4 go hand in hand to appreciate Apollo.
Yeah, and look, and you got to watch the Creed movies as well. With
Haven't seen those
Michael
either.
B. Jordan. Sorrenko
Sorrenko-
Productions. Yep.
He said, thanks, Wesley. I'll have to check them out. And Corey Anderson said, Bright Insight is a great YouTube channel for rabbit hole dives.
He's a friend of the show.
I've been recommended Empleman before. Also to get him on
Bright
the show.
Inside is Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Corsetti.
Cobra
He's been here
Commander
a couple times.
said, Wesley, prenup, or are you made of magic?
I'm just going to let that go.
No?
Cool. Because it's none of your business.
Prenup will never matter for me because I'm going to be the one taking all the money and whatever.
I just see you if you're going to. Never mind.
It's actually your side hustle.
Yes, that's what I'm working on.
I don't think we have any
No,
more.
we got one more here. No, we got the prenup one. They just wanted to say that there before we go. All right, guys, I was hoping we could get to a third crisis party, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Or we can just sit here.
We could just sit here. I don't know if Wesley just wants to hang around and talk. I'm down to just talk with the chat. We ended very abruptly yesterday, so I'm completely
because the
fine
super
with-
chats kept coming in and then they didn't make sense.
Yes. So at the very end, yeah. But I'm completely happy with just sitting here and hanging out. We should just become a just chatting channel, like Twitch streamers. We just sit here and the chair. It's just the chair for an hour.
What if we simulcast on Twitch?
That would be hilarious.
Oh, Adam, the
What would happen?
Sorrenko, a good conspiracy podcast is The Confessionals with Tony Merkel.
There you go.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah, we've been wanting to get him back on the show.
We should have him back on the show.
For sure.
It was we had a lot of fun with him on because so much of that stuff is outside my wheelhouse. I remember the episode he was on was like when there was like that last Bigfoot sighting that TMZ
Yeah, the
reported
Colorado
on.
one.
And the funny thing about it was like
Such good timing,
after
right?
that happened, then like I went and did the Salty Nerd podcast on Saturday, and they did it. They talked about it on there too. I'm like, this is the most I've been exposed to anything Bigfoot my entire life, like ever. Like I still go back and watch. Like I love old episodes, like early seasons of the X-Files, and there's an episode called Jersey Devil, which is basically supposed to be Bigfoot.
The Jersey Devil's not Bigfoot.
But in this it's like like if you don't know the difference
Yeah.
between the two, it feels the same.
Gotcha.
And how they tell that story, and I love those early bad episodes of the X-Files more than the good ones because I love watching writers early on swing and miss as they figure out like what the story, what the show
Yeah.
is. Like,
Yeah.
isn't that awesome? Like, that's another thing that you lose today with modern day streaming. It's like the show has to come out fully designed, whereas back in the day, it's something very different. It's one of the reasons why you can't actually, as much as stupid as it is, you can't really rely on pilots to tell you whether a show is good or not. You're better off waiting until you're like 3 or 4 episodes in if you're watching a show that isn't serialized, if it's episodic, to figure out whether the show has actually found its voice yet. And there's just not a lot of that these days because everything has to be 8 episodes and it's fully developed from the very
The first
beginning.
season is sometimes the pilot,
Yep.
where it's like, and then you'll come like that's what I've been watching The Chosen, and like the first season, I'm like, there's a lot of like production in there, and then season 2, I'm like, oh man, they jumped up, like it's way better, and that's for other reasons. But it's the same thing. Like you're making all those episodes at once, and you don't really know
Yeah.
You're trying stuff. You don't know what your actors are like, what their tendencies are
And
quite yet.
Like it gave the opportunity for actors that might not have been leads to stand out and earn bigger roles on the show as different actors become more well liked than others. One of the best examples is like on Arrow when they moved away from Laura Lance and they went towards Felicity, and everybody started to hate her because her, like the actress Emily Bett Rickards, actually had good chemistry with Stephen Amell, whereas Katie Cassidy just didn't. But they grew
That
to hate
channel tried to make Katie Cassidy a thing so hard. She was in every show. Played the same character.
Very hard. She's like you said, one of the things the CW always did well: really conventionally attractive people. Every single one of them.
Some of them better actors than others.
Yes, that is very, very true.
Organized Business Services said talk about business topics just to break it up.
What business topics?
Is this business culture crisis?
Yes, finance. Are we going to talk?
I mean,
about...
I took a look at Business Insider, and it says Wall Street's next big bet could revolutionize home ownership.
I did see that that Coinbase was down today. Every day that Bitcoin climbs, I regret more that I didn't like when it crashed when Biden got elected, and it was like 15. It was sitting at like 15, and I was like, I've got some money. I'll put a little bit of money in there. I regret not putting more in literally every day.
Yep.
Wendy's surge pricing counts as a business topic.
There you go. Yes, we did cover that. We did cover that.
And Gemini kind of does too. Bookstore Thor said Conspiracy Pilled is a great Fringe podcast. Shane H. Wilder said, can I get an NCIS reference? I'll have a bingo.
Well, no, now you can't. No, that's rude. That's rude.
Just out of spite, you're not going to.
Yes, exactly.
You should give them a CSI reference as in a spite.
No matter what anyone says, Miami was the best out of all of them, even though it was the worst. It was so bad storytelling wise, but again, really good looking people wearing very, very Miami clothes, just white pants every single day, and the ugliest shirts. It was awesome.
There's a conspiracy theory that Google made Gemini AI really bad to purposefully like get AI to not catch on culturally, like to make people think that AI sucks. That's the dumbest conspiracy theory I've ever heard.
No, I think they're just racists.
Yeah, I think they're just woke. It's a much simpler explanation. Left-handed Link said St. Augustine's Confessions. He also zinned.
Ooh, he's a zinner.
Yes.
He's a zinner.
Who amongst us?
I do not.
Brett, for one, does not
yes,
zin.
I for one do not. James Higgins says CW Smallville was my stuff back in the day. Yes, Smallville's great. Also, Justin Hartley as early Green Arrow in that show, and now he's in that show Tracker. That was an absolute.
Alan Richardson, right?
Yep, early Alan Richardson. They're making a Blue Mountain State a revival.
I saw that. Also, one of my favorite TV actors, Sam Witwer, is in Smallville.
Well, you just like him because he's a Star Wars guy, right?
Well, I like the music too. His band is awesome.
But I didn't know he's in band.
Tones.
He's a great example of somebody who has like his face was designed for acting.
Yep.
He has the most actor's face. It's the literally the sharpest features you've ever seen
with the
in
butt
your entire
chin and
life. Like he could play both a leading man good guy and a really evil person interchangeably. Like you just imagine that every casting director looked at him and was like, we can work with this. I don't know what we're going to do with him, but we can work with this.
He was perfect to play a vampire, and he did.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Here we go.
Great
he was
turn in
also
Dexter,
in an
too.
early episode of NCIS where he plays a corrupt, he sells small arms and gets caught. There you go.
He's in the pilot of The Walking Dead.
Is he?
Really?
Yep. There's a guy who dies in the tank.
Oh. The way we just did that in unison.
He's got a great look, and he was designed for vampire roles. There's a vampire show that you might not have watched that was really, really bad called Bitten. That was really, really stupid.
What a bad name.
It is.
For a vampire
it's got Laura Vandervoort in it, who's another very, very conventionally attractive person. But it came out around the same time as another show that was bad that I liked called Hemlock Grove.
Hemlock Grove's awesome.
Is awesome, right?
Grove,
with
awesome.
Famke Janssen.
Is it bad or is it awesome?
It's awesome. It's both.
Okay.
It's like a very grunge TV show.
It was like early Netflix. It was like an actual Netflix original.
Bill Skarsgård and Famke Johnson.
She's gonna be in. We just watched something that she has in a trailer. What was it? What did we watch?
Yeah, with Bill Skarsgård.
With,
that movie.
yes,
Yeah.
Boy Kills World.
Yeah.
Yep.
You said she. I was like, what?
Yeah, Famke Johnson.
Oh,
a girl.
okay. Okay. Cobra Commander said, I'm 100% with St. Augustine. Give me chastity, just not today. That's probably the most widely circulated saint quote ever, if I had to guess. Gordon Shumway said, take the glasses off slowly, Brett, like David Caruso in CSI Miami.
Well, no, he doesn't take them off slowly. He puts them. He then puts them on after he delivers the one-liner.
We'll do it.
Nah, I can't. I got the headphones on. It won't work.
Oh, good excuse.
Thank you. I do recommend that everybody go and, like, for a laugh, go watch one old episode of CSI Miami and you will laugh. It's so funny. They never change outfits. Every case is solved in a day. Literally,
I love that.
It's awesome. Like, and they'll do, like, I used to watch the audio
Is
comments.
CSI Miami the one that Tarantino was is executive producer of?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They literally did that in Madam Web, though.
Yes.
For the span of like 2 weeks. So
the best part is
Never change clothes?
yeah.
they address it like one of the audio commentators like, yeah, it makes no sense. We don't care.
Left-handed Link said, love is the greatest psyop, especially today.
Oh man, don't give up on love.
Hey.
That's just blackpilling yourself
That
further.
makes me
Yeah.
think that like that's better though than what we do with Cast Castle, where it's like everything takes place in a day and everybody's wearing different clothes every scene.
True.
It's the complete opposite. That's
I remember when we were being told to bring back the same shirt
Yep.
from the day
and then
that
we're
we
just like,
filmed.
whatever.
And everyone was like, you know what? We give up.
Yep.
The somebody pointed out that Laura Vandervoort was Supergirl. Yes, on Smallville.
Okay. Is Elizabeth Debicki
She's an
in
actress.
Wonder Woman.
all I know is that she played Princess Diana in The Crown, but people were posting about her.
Oh, Elizabeth Debicki, not I got the wrong.
People were posting about her
Adrian
playing
Palicki.
Lois Lane.
Palicki?
Adrian Palicki. Yeah.
Yes, she would have been
Wonder
a
Woman.
great Wonder Woman.
She was Wonder
Yeah, but
Woman.
it didn't come out.
I
Right?
know,
It
but she
didn't come
was.
out. Yeah. She's also great in G.I. Joe Retaliation, which nobody likes but me
And
as well.
Supernatural.
And Supernatural.
Oh.
I
Elizabeth
made it through
Debicki's
2
crazy
seasons
tall.
of Supernatural.
Yeah, she's literally 6'3", and I was seeing posts about her being Lois Lane. But
Okay.
wait, what was the name
Rachel
of the
Brosnahan.
chick?
is
Rachel
Lois Lane.
Brosnahan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
good casting.
And then Supergirl was
Isabella Marquette, I think. I could be wrong about that. No, Hawkgirl.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No Diggity 247 says, starting the week with the main guest host Dane Wesley today, a great PCC week. Be well, Sarah. Keep up the greatness, Brett and Mary.
Thank you.
Love
Let's-
the positivity.
we're getting
And then
closer.
yesterday was just a bomb because it was just us.
Yeah, well, like, no.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're saying that.
Here's the thing. Sometimes the 2-person episodes go really, really well, and sometimes they're like, they're just okay, and that's fine. Like, not every episode goes
So
great.
you're saying you do think yesterday's show sucked?
I think the last 5 minutes sucked.
Okay.
I do, but I'm one of those people that I look at every episode when we're done. I'm like, Mary did great, I did awful, and I say that about literally every.
You're too self-deprecating.
Every single episode. So sometimes I've like forced myself to go back and rewatch the parts that I think are really, really bad to see how I feel about it once you're removed from the situation. And usually it's not as awful as I remember it being in the moment. But it really depends on how hungry I am most days. Like, if I'm really, really hungry, everything feels awful.
I'm hungry right now.
I'm starving.
Taxi Platy said, Brett just saw Paramount Plus ordered NCIS spin-off show for Tiva, Tony, and Ziva. Snap 10 episodes ordered. What?
Okay, so Tony is Michael Weatherly. He left in season 13. Ziva.
So they're doing an NCIS prequel
And
and a
now
spin-off at the same time?
Don't do it. They don't do the bonus.
They're literally causing Brett's mentee B right now.
Look, NCIS worked because we lived in a weird world where Hollywood, as liberal as it could be, had like neoconservative writers and producers who could make neoconservative propaganda that sold you war, and it was awesome. But it was propaganda. It was. I literally was watching an episode like not that long ago where they talk about where Gibbs criticizes like Hamas suicide bombers and like what is this, 2024 or is this 2004? Okay? Like, you can't do this shit now. It will be lame. It will be stupid, and it won't work. Michael Weatherly is probably too, like, he's too old now. Granted, he's still probably younger than Mark Harmon was when he played the character originally. They're like try to pretend like Mark Harmon was in Desert Storm in that show, and like, yeah, right. Like if Desert Storm was Vietnam, like, okay. Just no, don't do it. It's not gonna work. And it's just no. They already made it a girl boss show when she got hired, but it was at least tempered by the fact that the girl boss trope wasn't completely ruined in 2004.
Brett, when you get angry, it's literally the highlight of my day.
Thank you.
Wesley's just cleaning money.
Yes.
He's our maid. Mothman's accountant said, y'all talking Freemasonry without the Lore Lodge?
Yes, we do.
Cringe.
We do need Aiden back soon. One of my favorite things is to watch Aiden call people stupid on Twitter. I love.
I enjoy it. He's my favorite Mason.
He will he'll be like every time I don't even know what he's talking about because he's quote tweeting someone says he's like there's never been more evidence of somebody being this stupid before, and then like it's every day there's a new person who's the stupidest person in the entire world. It's awesome.
The last time he was here before Christmas?
It was the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Shane
H. Wilder said thank you, Tacty, and bingo. You gave him the bingo.
Let's get that. We're almost at a third crisis party. Somebody give me a third crisis party to make up for the mental breakdown I'm going to have with the Tony and Ziva spinoff. That doesn't need to exist.
Help Brett not have a mentee bee today.
What was the thing you posted about the other day? Oh, and I was like, why? Why are they doing this?
Wait. Oh, the Ferris Bueller spinoff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do they say who's in it, or is it
I didn't
just
see any casting announcements
in
for any of
development?
that talk. It's stupid, but
There's literally no one you could choose that I would ever think was a good choice.
Unless the show is like about Alan Ruck.
Wait,
being like
it's a show?
Or the movie, whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Like whatever it is, unless it's about Alan Ruck being Cameron as like a stay-at-home dad.
So they're
like totally
doing a
left field
time
thing.
jump to when they're older, or is
don't
this
think so.
recasting the whole thing?
I have no idea. I'm just saying, like, if it's about Cameron and it's like completely separate, it's just about that character. I would like for a laugh watch it.
Gordon Shumway says,
Ruck.
actually, Mark Harmon is the correct age for gunnery sergeant in Desert Storm. Gunnies usually have 18 to 20 years time in the service. Yeah, but in like the show, like in like the audio commentary, Mark Harmon admits that he was like old enough to be in Vietnam, so that makes more sense. Like the actual actor said that he plays a character younger than him. He also just started to look. You know how they say? Have you ever heard people say like you don't age incrementally, you age a little bit and then all at once? Mm-hmm. He just started to look really old in those last, and you can't do anything about that. Like it's just the way it is. One day we're gonna be doing this show and Mary's gonna be like, another person says Taylor Swift is a Satanist, and I'm just gonna
You're going to
my face is
instantly
just gonna
gray.
melt and just folds will appear on my face.
There's a staircase going up to the PCC studio, and eventually we're gonna need to get those automatic chairs that zoom up.
Lift.
Yeah, we need a chairlift on to get up to the studio, or Brett's not gonna be able to do this anymore. Left-handed Link said, "Funny story. Last girl I was into warned me that she was seriously mentally ill." Did you move forward regardless? That would be the funny story.
Somebody asked, where was it here? Unknown says, Brett, y'all watching Dune tomorrow? So yes. This is the plan. Mary is going to be out of town on Friday. So what I'm hoping to do is that me and Wesley are going to go, and as long as the schedule cooperates, Camelot will join us to see the movie, and then hopefully we can record that review before the episode and then put that review out on Saturday morning.
Okay. Cobra Commander said, have Wesley say, hello, fellow kids.
No.
Nope.
Hello, fellow kids.
Okay, he did it.
It would be really funny to make Tim go to Dune too, because he left. He like walked out of Dune like halfway through.
Tell him to go.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I think we're all caught up.
Oh well, we're sitting here until we get a third crisis party. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if this,
I will turn this podcast around.
This has to be a 24-hour chair stream. I will just leave this sit here, and
We're
I will
at the
do that.
same place we were when I looked back there 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Corey Anderson said Ziva was IDF. Good luck with that. Tony always had the movie references like Brett.
Yes. Ziva was in the Mossad in the show. She's literally a Mossad liaison to the to NCIS. There's a lot of really interesting, like, current year of the age politics that go into those old episodes. In that show, for being a network television boomer show, there's some really good 2 or 3 part episodes that deal with American and foreign affairs. It's quite good.
Cobra Commander said a woman saying she's mentally ill just confirms she's a biological woman. Well, look on the bright side. She's a biological woman. We got $20 from Nate saying,
Can't be too careful these
y'all
days.
usually roast me when I chat, but I love you and the show, so here, Crisis Party.
Well, thank you, my friend, and welcome
you,
to my
Nate.
world, Nate. That's what they do to me. It's basically my job to show up here every. My job is so difficult. It's even harder than Hassan Piker's job. I don't know how I do it, but that's my job, is to just show up here and be roasted by everyone in the chat.
Sorenko Productions said, real question is, you getting the popcorn bucket? You gonna get the Dune popcorn bucket? Actually,
that was
those are only at
AMC.
AMC's, so...
Yeah, that was an AMC exclusive, so no, there will be no, like, sexy time popcorn bucket for me. Sorry.
Damn. You're missing out. Courier 626 said, party, dude.
It's a party time.
Thank you.
So we have reached it. All right. So, guys, we have reached a crisis party, and thank you so much for that. I think more than anything, honestly, guys, more than talking about all of the news stories and all that stuff, I just like hanging out here and going back and forth with you guys. I eventually will end up being a
Just
chair
chatting.
streamer. Yeah, I will. I'm
Just
going.
chatting.
I don't quite have
Brett
the chest for
is
it.
on
but-
the path to becoming a titty streamer.
Yes,
it's
I don't
already
quite-
underway.
I don't have the chest for it, but I could do it. Trust me, I could sit there and aimlessly just,
Flex
bicker
the
back and
pecs.
forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more here from Tacti Platt. He says, Wesley, your proposal was adorable. Extra congrats.
Oh, thanks.
And Gordon Shumway said, Cody Diablo went to junior high with me in Miami. I didn't know her. She was a couple years behind me.
No, it's Cody DePablo. She was born in Chile, but I think she grew up in Miami. Beautiful woman, great actress. DCNC says, as long as you don't share your popcorn bucket. Well, yeah, of course, keeping that thing all to myself if I was getting one. That's
Use protection if you have that popcorn bucket.
It's like I only use a certain type of butter. Yeah, that's exactly right. The Manic Mustache says, or no, it's like you have the popcorn butter, like, is that caramel corn? No. The Manic Mustache says, I hate how much I want the Tiva spinoff. Can't wait to tell mother. Look, man, I'm telling you right now, it ain't gonna work. First of all, the beauty of these shows was that there were 24 episodes and you got a whole bunch of time with them. 10 episodes with like some really long overarching plot isn't going to be nearly as cool. The novelty of those shows was that you got to watch it all throughout the year, and it was like every episode was an individual story. Mm-hmm. I just don't want I don't want them to go solve some government conspiracy. I want them to sit at their desks in the bullpen and bicker back and forth and run down phone records and bicker back and forth. Go down to see the scientist to give them the MacGuffin clue that they need. Bicker back and forth. That's what I want.
Formulaic.
Yes, I want formulaic.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right, Wesley, my friend, let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Castcastle on timcast.com, or you can find me at WAROTH on X. I almost called Twitter.
Actually, I don't know. I call it Twix, but that's better. Actually, we're like halfway to like a fourth crisis. I don't know.
We'll just sit here.
Wesley might leave, but I will just sit here.
Okay. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
That was fantastically slow. I liked it. That was very good. All right.
We're taking our time.
Yes. Here we go. Want that fourth crisis party. Guys, if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here 5 days a week, even if Wesley is leaving. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would like to listen rather than watch this show. And if you would like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok because we were banned on said platform, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Wait, at Pop Culture
Crisis Pod.
I was going too slow and looking at the chat. At Pop Culture Crisis Pod.
Got it.
Thank you. One more there, Mary. Do you want to read that one?
Corey Anderson said, who gets married first, Brett or Mary?
What do you think?
Why are we looking at a beach? Okay. You guys can place your bets on that by getting us to a 4th crisis party.
Leave your super chat bets on whether who gets married first. Technically, somehow Mary has a head start, but I also have a head start because I'm older.
You're older, so I think that you have the advantage.
Yes. There's more panic for me.
All right.
All right, guys. You got the 3rd crisis party. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
There is a post-credit scene coming because Corey Anderson sent $5 and said, y'all are like an addiction I spend way too much money on. My friend, I don't think PCC Anonymous exists, but you could look it up and perhaps it would. Hope you get better, buddy, but at the same time I don't because, it helps us. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.